Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Barrero waits on the 2-0 pitch. Here it is. And he hits this one high and deep, and you can kiss that baby goodbye. That is off the light standard. A grand slam for Jose Barrero.
Nico Horner cracks one in the air, deep left field, near the wall, and that ball is gone. What a first inning Nico Horner is having. He saved a run with a dazzling diving stop on defense, and now he takes the first pitch into the left field bleachers against Shane McClanahan. Cubs lead 1-0.
There's a line drive into left center field. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Rounding second, headed to third is Goldschmidt. They're waving him home. Goldie's going to score. It's 1-0 Cardinals as Nolan Arenado delivers in the sixth.
Now the 1-0.
Fly ball to center field. Way back there. Thomas at the wall. He looks up and it is gone. A home run. J.D. Martinez continues to be red hot.
Trying to get the Pirates to lead. Here's the pitch. And ball away. It skips away from Bailey, the catcher. To throw home the tag. Mejia put the tag on him, but Castro's in there. The ball squirted away. The layup to third, and the Pirates lead it 2-1.
It's that time again. Good morning. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. He's Damon Benning. I'm Andrew Rogers. Happy to have you with us. We had quite the adventure this morning, and usually when we talk about adventures in the morning, it tends to be
something at home.
Something at home. Great way to put it. Instead, now it's outside. There are cones set up in the parking lot, and we had to park in Narnia just to get into the building. And Shane was here at, gosh, I'm gonna guess 5:45.
6 probably. Don't give him credit.
Okay, 6. Okay.
Come on, Shane.
I was guessing. Shane, what time? 5:45?
About 6.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for your honesty.
And DB knows
because I know when you're fibbing.
Anyone. And
he's
Shane walks back out because he has to
fibber.
move the cones. He's got to move the
They
cones.
weigh like
move
50
his car.
pounds.
And
kicked it.
Like,
Shane, I didn't kick it. They weigh like 50
you
pounds.
did. Yeah, you were kicking the bottom of that cone to get it to move. I was out there. I saw you. You were not happy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad they're fixing it. That's awesome.
Yeah, this thing
I just didn't know.
is not great. And good on them. Like that.
Yeah.
You don't usually see retail spaces be that proactive, but it is hectic pulling in this place.
But so what are they doing? Are they fixing the road?
They're
Are they
repouring the
painting
concrete.
lines? Okay.
No, they're doing the concrete. So I wanted to tell the little musclehead to leave me a spare bag because I'm gonna pour. There's a little rock spot with flowers by the house, and we're gonna get all those out and pour concrete. Or at least I am, and Coach Sikora, because I want to put a chair out there. Not that I'm gonna invite people to come over because I'm not, except my coaching staff, because we're gonna have cook-offs.
Or if those randos just stop by.
Yeah, that happens. That happens. Did I tell you about my man Lupe is back?
No. Oh man, Lupe first made his way into our lives
he had
during the summer.
He had his grandkids picture me rolling.
Oh yes.
So he had them on their little electric motorcycles, and he was with his wife. And he's like the nicest person ever. And he called me by my last name, so I thought he was in education. He's like, "Hey, Benning, man, I miss you on the radio." That's how long ago this was.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Lupe, man, you can get me. I'm coming to 590, but it's a secret." Shh. This was 5 days before we went live, right?
That all?
Man, listen, it was last summer.
So
we didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
we had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So
walking the quick trip.
So that's the second time. So my man stopped me. I got to tell you about yesterday too. Yesterday was even better. My man stopped me and we just chopped it up. And his grandkids were so stinking cute. So we got
not anymore.
Huh?
Pardon? What?
So, and he's kind of muscle bound, and just this, not the stereotype, but with a name like Lupe, he's Hispanic, and he's like, "Hey man, just come by. I got an open door policy for friends." And I was like, "Oh boy, he likes me already. Here we go." But he did say that he felt like
visit, right?
Yeah. No, first.
Oh, first.
This day one. He's super brand new. Like Shane and Randall Calrissian. And by the way, we got to figure out why so many Star Wars were on yesterday. Did I miss May the 4th be with you? Because, I mean, Wheel of Fortune,
yep,
TNT. Like they're just. I'm like, what is going on? Didn't we already do this?
Hold on 1 sec.
Didn't we already do this?
Checking my Apple Watch for the
but
date.
Anyway, I gotta
you can do that every day of the year.
Yeah, stop it. So we chop it up, whatever.
Day after day.
Yep, every day. And so I used to always see him walking. So in the summer, the famous story is I was trying to kill time. I can't remember what I was waiting for. So I walked across the street from our headquarters on 108th and Mockingbird to the Quick Trip. Who would I see? Lupe Fiasco. He had the grandbabies.
His last name isn't Fiasco for those.
But but people that know Lupe Fiasco know. So it's kind of hot. It's like 80 maybe. And I'm not like, I don't want to sweat unless I'm supposed to. Like if I'm supposed to be outside, like I love it.
Yeah, you're at
like
football practice with the
I'm wearing a
kids.
sweatshirt,
right,
or long sleeves, right? But I wanted to come back to work, so I wasn't trying to be that guy. So anyway, long story longer. Lupe, I saw him a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Hey man, where you been?" And I was like, man, this summer basketball, and I wanted to say, yeah, I feel like I'm going through bouts of I was hitting that stretch, right? But I didn't go into detail because I wasn't trying to overdo it. He's like, man, when are you going to come by for some tequila? And I was like, wait a minute. Did I tell him, or is he fitting the stereotype? Right? Like those are I'm weird, right?
Or maybe that's his drink.
It actually is. But he told me that he listens. He's like, man, I'm all in now. I found you on 590. Turns out I used to work with his cousin and his sister at OPS.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh,
small world.
Yeah. Super small world. And so yesterday went walking, right? Just
in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's where Lupe lives.
So I see Lupe again. Lupe says, hey man, I'm making some cornhole boards. He said, do you cornhole?
You're like, are you messing with me?
I was like, shoot, man.
Yesterday I asked you if you had cornhole boards out by the smoker.
Yeah. Right? It's like Bizarro World. So I was like, yeah. I said, I'm not great, but whatever. I'm competitive. So he's like, come on by, man. I got an open door policy for you. He said, I got lots of tequila. He's like trying to bait me with liquor. I'm like, do I have wino written all over my? Maybe I do. I don't know. Am I starting to get the red veins or anything? Do black people get those? Anyway, wait, do they, Shane? You wouldn't know.
I was like, why are you asking him?
Do you know the drinking nose?
Recognize what we're doing.
I don't know if we get that. But anyway, it'll probably be like light purple or something. So walk a little further, and there's a lady, cute little house. She might be down by you. She has like a Nebraska wood carving and cute little house, yard, nice. So she's laughing, yucking it up with this younger guy who had maybe walked across the street. Maybe they met getting the mail. I don't know. She's got time it right. See, I do the lookout. Anybody out there? Then you're looking to like I creep across the street like the guy from Menace to Society when he's getting ready to get in the car. Let's go twist this cat backwards. Like he creeps across. That's how I go get the mail. But anyway. So listen, if I'm lying, I'm dying. She yells across the street, hey, did you used to work for UPS? I was like, no. But I don't want to say where I think she knows me from.
You don't want to say OPS?
I don't want to say anything about I don't want to say anything, right? And lo and behold, the young buck, man, that's Damon Benning. Blah, blah, blah with the Huskers. And she goes, shut the front door.
Yes.
I said, oh boy, I'm in middle America. I'm in middle America.
Omaha.
So we end up just chopping it up for like 5 minutes. And I'm walking backwards.
Only 5 minutes? Not bad.
Bro, that's
not
a long
bad.
It's a long time.
That's not bad.
It's a long time, my guy.
I chopped it up with my neighbor.
I'm walking backwards. I'm walking backwards. Trying to get going. She's telling me about she's a fisher, so she's related to like Cletus, a lot of the fishers, right? And she's like, I'm gonna have to come by. I'm gonna find you. Where are you? I'm gonna come by and get some autographs. I probably have some because she's telling me how she's been a season ticket holder. I think she said more than 50 years. which may beat my parents. Because I think
As season ticket holders or just age?
no, she's older than 50, like season ticket holder.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. She's like, I'm one of the OGs. She didn't say OGs. I
50
said
years.
OGs. But anyway,
It's longer than you've been alive. That's
rare.
That's
old.
That's rare for somebody to say that to you.
What? What? That's what we're on this
just
morning.
50 years. I was just at
Because you're almost half my age.
No.
No.
I'm thinking more from the sense of like, wow, it's got to be rare for somebody to say like, hey, I have something that's older than you.
Yeah.
Like
So
if they said that to my parents, I'd be like, that's old.
so end up doing that. Whatever.
I had to try to dig myself.
Finally
out of
get
that
back to the house. We got a lot of people in our neighborhood that got to work on their lawns.
Tons. There's a couple of houses that wait.
Are you
I
talking
think,
about
for
the brown house with the dogs? Hey, so I walked by there. I was deathly afraid because they have a beware of dog sign, but it's like a chain link fence. I'm like, if I need to beware of a dog, they're hopping that fence. So, I'm clenching my fist up because I know I'm like the guy that would punch a dog like on the top of the head, right? Like I know,
like a shark.
I always walk. Yeah. I always walk myself through scenarios where I'm at. Like if something jumps off, what would I do? I always do that when I'm in places
that make you uncomfortable.
That I'm not familiar. And it's the first time I've really gone that way, right? So I'm like, man, what is wrong with these yards? But I thought of my TikToks because I saw on one of my couple of my TikToks where people use grass seed and soil to lay over the grass to get it to grow back quicker. So I immediately thought of our conversation about horticulture or arbologists or one of the ones we were doing. I still think those are tree people. I don't know who the grass people are, but I think because Arbor Day it's trees, man. It's Latin for trees. Right. So I think arbologists.
Yeah, but herbologists.
Okay, so not arb as in arbor.
Yeah, so study of plants and plant lore.
So what's horticulture? Let's do that one because maybe we didn't Google that one. But anyway,
we did because it's when you like have typed in something before, it's purple.
Yeah.
An expert in garden cultivation and management.
Okay, so maybe that's closer to grass. So I'm like, man, I'm talked out of people that I don't really know. But what happens this morning? So the dude is laying those heavy cones with the black rubber on the bottom because he doesn't want you to move. And I mean, this little dude is like, he's like one of the people on Super Mario's. Like he's a musclehead. And
what did you like? Take a mushroom?
And I can't remember. I just had this conversation with somebody, and they totally stereotyped concrete guys. Were you with me? Was it on the show about how they're just kind of ornery and mean?
Nope, that wasn't me.
And I was like, shoot, man, I know a concrete guy. My man JD Shane, the dude with pituitary dwarfism. And I'm weird, he's a musclehead too. I'll show you. He wore the T-shirt that said, it has a picture of me on it. It says "Legend in My Own Mind." Have I showed you that picture?
No.
Anyway, this dude has pituitary dwarfism. He's like a little guy, but he's super yoked now, and he's mean-spirited. I think he fights about every 3 days. But he's really nice to me. Like I would consider him family. And so the dude, I try to go over the little black thing because he hasn't put the cone down.
Okay.
My man puts his hand out, like stop in the name of love, right? Like I'm driving.
So let me picture it. You're driving and you're like this.
And yeah. So he puts it, and I was like, hey man, I said, I gotta get to work. And I mean, his shirt is like screaming. It's like Lotto in 8 Mile. I don't fit you. Like it is. He painted that bad boy on. So he's like, hey man, I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm tearing up the concrete. Like you guys are gonna be stuck. And I was like, poop. I was like, normally this early in the morning, like I would pick on a different guy to argue with. I said, you look like you're not trying to hear it this morning. I was just making light because he was a little musclehead. He said, yeah, bro, too early in the morning. I said, oh.
This is a big deal.
I wanted to hear T.O. Come on, Shane. I said, whoa.
So what I do, I pulled my little brown behind the sock and went in the back and parked.
That's right.
I said, I'll keep it pushing. I was like,
I saw the cones and I thought,
I said, man, I just cut my thumb up trying to pull pots out last night. I'm not trying to ball my fist up. I did take the band.
You're pulling what out?
So you know the drawers like you have under your stove?
Yeah.
Sometimes when the pot handles, when things are put back in correctly,
Yeah.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Sometimes it's a struggle. So I had to like get in there and maneuver. Like I cut my wrist. It looks like I'm a cutter. I mean, not to make light of cutting, but
So
you got your little scrape game right too, huh?
So I was doing sticks, right? Remember I told you that yesterday? Dude,
I
every
still
time
can't
broke
believe
them-
you had the stones to do a burning.
Why not?
Do you know how dry it is?
Have you seen my backyard? Dude, the sprinkler was on for 3 hours.
I probably walked by your
yesterday.
house and didn't even know it.
3 hours yesterday.
So anyway, I felt like, so as I'm driving away, I felt like he was cool. Like I that's probably a guy I can end up liking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought of Shane. My movie was on last night when I was flipping through trying to go to bed. The Equalizer 2.
Oh, I love The Equalizer.
So 2 was on, and he's on the train heading to Pakistan, and he's trying to get this little girl back. And he's pretending to be Muslim. He has this little garb on with his beard. And he tells old boy, he said,
yes,
there are 2 types of pain in this world.
Yes.
One that hurts and one that alters. Today, I let you choose. One of the greatest lines ever in a movie. Like I get goosebumps.
Man.
And not that I'm violent anymore, but so as I was parking, I'm like, I wonder which type of pain one of us would have been choosing if that one jumped off. Like, would it have been one that hurts or one that alters?
Probably hurts.
That's what I was thinking of. That's where my mind was this morning.
I got chills throughout
Hey,
my
let
body.
me see your hand, DB. What hand do you not use?
Yeah. Oh, when he snapped
when he
over his
snaps.
hand. He said, I'm right-handed. Your daddy's money's not going to save you this time, son.
I love it.
He said, you don't even know what her name is, do you?
Mm-mm.
Her name was Anna.
You didn't ask me if she got home safe?
How about how
Did
he
she get
just
home
diced
safe?
the
No.
boy up with the credit card?
Dude, and that credit card was like a knife.
So I forgot about the part because of course, again, zero sleep. So I watched the movie again like I've never seen it. I forgot how the guy, Dave, that he killed at the end, he slid his neck across the back before he kicked him off the tower. Was that necessary?
Oh, yeah. Everything is necessary, right?
With Robert McCall?
Yeah, you're like, yeah, get him.
I'm like, dang, that dude was, I'm a big fan.
So you mentioned seeing Lupe again.
Yeah, Lupe. So Lupe's a guy I think I could hang out with. As long as he's not afraid to like have like 10, 15 seconds of quiet time. Because you don't have to fill all the air with. So, sometimes
enjoy the sounds of the world, right?
Yeah. I think he's got family on the police force. So we've talked about OPD before because
cool. I have some friends at OPD from my time at Baxter.
Right. One of your friends saved my bacon, right? Or your dad's friend that works for OPD.
No, mine.
That's your friend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he the high school thing, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Is he still on the force?
Man, are we talking about the same guy?
Yeah. So the guy that I was with a couple of my buddies.
Oh, yeah.
Is he still on the force?
He's not. No, he's retired.
Oh, man. Does he live by us?
About 15 minutes away.
I need to tell him thank you.
Yeah.
Tell my guy thank you.
I'll pass it along through like telephone. When you pass it with like multiple different people just to get it there.
So, funny story. Remember when I told you about a month ago when I was just, my mom and I went shopping for meat?
Yes. Yeah.
We got the 5 for 5s. So we just were driving through old neighborhoods. We drove right by that spot.
Does that like give you PTSD?
No, I laughed. I was like, golly, I just thought I was invincible. Like, what a knucklehead.
Hey, and you got out, right?
But then I was thinking to myself
in that moment.
It seems so. It seems so secluded.
That's a great question.
It's not like
Chaos?
Right.
It's not like
it's not. You're not in the open.
No.
Right.
No, and it's barely a street light.
And then all of a sudden, the berries and cherries roll through.
Whoop! What?
Say it again, my bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, so yesterday, right? What did I do after the show?
You went to go play golf.
No, I had to go get my license plates.
Oh yeah,
right?
how'd that treat you? Do you like how we always start with sports? This is like our this is like an old school crossover, Shane, with no show before us. We just catch up.
That is 100% true.
Iron sharpens iron.
Like
exactly. I'm still smelling this Danos though. Good on you.
I got you. I got you. And if you hate it, I'll take the rest of the bottle.
Very true.
I don't think I'll hate it.
I don't think you will either. So I go and get the plates. Fine, easy. But you can't get your license done there. Like I needed a
Nebraska license.
Nebraska license.
Are you staying a while?
Yeah, well, and I have been doing things like I've told you before. Let's just
Negligently.
Yeah, negligently.
Yeah.
And avoiding what law tells me to do. And
so what is it? 30 days, Shane? 60 days?
Oh, I think it's 6 months.
Not really.
Oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
So you're still over that.
Yeah, well over. And that happened too in South Dakota. And that's when I found out that, you got to get it taken care of in 6 months.
Take it up a notch.
So I go over to the places that they say you can get it done at. There's 3 locations in town.
Did you go to the one I told you?
Well, I went to Stony Brook for the license plates, but you couldn't get your photo done.
Did you go to 156th and Maple?
Is that
sheriff's? It's right by the sheriff's department. Big
Yeah.
building, big brick building. Looks like a sawed-off castle.
I went off. It was, what's that highway?
Shoot, we're just going
370.
370.
I go there
Yeah.
when I go to Kansas City. So I go straight. I head south that way.
Okay.
Off of Platteview Road.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking
Yes. I stroll in there.
I took a driving
No.
class there.
That's the one I'm going to today because
Okay.
that's the one that isn't as. That's why I'm getting confused. That's the one that I heard isn't as busy.
Yeah.
I went to the one in West Omaha.
Okay.
So
Shame on you.
I walk in there. First off, I'm like, man, there's a lot of cars in the parking lot, but I didn't have an appointment, so I just said I'll try the walk-in.
I don't think you can get appointments, can you?
You can.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I walked in, and what do you think I forgot about? What time of year are we in?
Summer.
It's the summer.
And it's the end of the month.
It's the end of the month. And why would you think places are more packed?
I don't know.
Because kids are out of school.
Oh,
So
snaps.
I walk in.
So people are getting tested for
Everybody's at the DMV today. Everybody. I walk up to the counter and she's like, hey, it's going to be like, do you have an appointment? No, it's going to be an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, you
And
can miss
so-
me. You can miss me with that.
So I go, I don't really have anything to do right now. Like I'll wait. So I grabbed the form and I sat down in one of the open chairs and I looked around and I go, there's no way this is going to be an hour and a half. So I got my little behind up and walked right out the door and thought, hey, if I can set an appointment, I'm going to set an appointment. So I have an appointment for the one off of Platteview Road.
Hey, do that
And,
one. I took a defensive driving class there. This was probably, I don't know, 04 maybe. And it's legit.
Mm-hmm.
But you go see my buddy. Go see Milliken. He's out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like literally
Hey,
4 minutes from there.
Do you want
Just to
to
freaking
dust me in
grab some hot
basketball?
fries.
Yeah, no, maybe.
Yeah. That is.
He'd kick my tail too. Dort?
Oh, yeah.
Dort defender?
Yep.
Man,
Look at you.
I feel
How
like
you
he
know
could-
last names?
I feel like he could do more than NAIA.
Connor. Yeah, and he committed early.
That's why I think he could do more.
Yeah, he's a creature of habit. Does what,
Good on him, though.
I know, right?
I was at the DMV last week. No less than 5 kids asked if they had to sign their name in cursive because they didn't know how.
That's one
That's
of the fun.
Ken
That
on
is,
YouTube.
that is hilarious. Because when you have to sign like those e-docs and stuff, I'm like, how do I make my D's? I think I'm just going to hit type signature. Do it for me.
Oh, man. Cursive is a...
I don't even know why they teach it.
Oh, it's necessary, though. We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Oh, hey, are you here to listen to a sports show?
Wait a minute. Are we back? Shane, why don't you try producing? You act like because it's the summer, you get time off.
I told you 30 seconds.
No, you whispered it to yourself.
Or maybe you thought you said it out loud.
Probably talking to the gosh darn computer.
Yeah, he was.
He's still mad over.
I was going to say he's still a little
old
angry.
boy told him to kick rocks that he couldn't park in the parking lot.
What'd you break over there before we started the show?
I didn't break anything.
He threw something.
Was it the iPad?
Yes, you did. You threw something.
I didn't throw anything.
Man,
Not today.
You thought you said 30 seconds. You didn't throw anything when you did.
Did you see C-Hap's tweet?
First off, I love that.
Me too. I
only have one interaction with him.
Me too.
But I really, technically it was 2 in the same night.
It's kind of irrational. But do you know what my favorite thing is? He doesn't take himself very seriously.
And that's how you have to live life,
Dude,
right?
He's yeah.
I think that's just a motto for life. Hey, MC for the Storm Chasers. I should be out there either today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow.
Again, another good guy. Connor's not quite Marty, but it's close.
You know who's in town?
Who?
My boy Jay Walk.
Yeah, because he is like on assignment. No, that's not technically not on assignment.
So,
he's just
good news here, right, DB?
Oh, stop.
Wednesday and Thursday are probably his last 2 days in AAA.
Stop it.
He's been
You can't be.
The Cardinals are off today and tomorrow.
You needed to with
and
your, after your struggles with Kansas City.
Yeah,
that's what you get for talking bad about them.
Yeah, that was a slap in the face.
I told you, it's a rivalry. It's just right down the interstate.
Although it was a split, right?
Oh, I guess not right down because you got to go 35 to.
Yeah,
you can stay on 35.
Yeah, it's the I-70 series.
So is it 70 or 35?
70.
Are you? Yeah, you'd know. I was about to say, are you sure?
Yeah, are you sure?
It's not like
are you from that state?
It's not like you've driven that
ever
multiple times.
Yeah, that's actually how I go home.
Yeah, that's I-70.
I drive past Kauffman Stadium.
2-1.
2-1. Michaelis looks like an all-star pitcher again.
He's back.
Yeah.
So you know what
numbers are insane.
His secondary and tertiary pitches he's throwing for strikes because he could always throw
and he
hard.
He doesn't throw very hard.
Well, he doesn't have to anymore.
Right.
So he after his injury, I think he lost like 4 or 5 miles an hour.
Really good command though. Kind of like a Wayno, right? Wayno has not been good this year.
No,
but think about when he was where Wayno's trending, that's Michaelis's trend too.
That
in velo.
That guy sucks, by the way.
Oh, Adam Wainwright?
Yeah.
What do you
mean,
mean?
I'm not hating.
A 6 ERA isn't good?
Nah, it's not good.
Oh, wait, you give up 7 runs to the Royals? That's not what you want?
Well, he didn't give up all 7, did he?
Yeah, well, he was pretty close.
Well, they had a perfect game through 7.
Well, yeah, 8. Notice how Mike Myers, former Cardinal, was the one that pitched 6 innings?
I was listening to your boy on the radio. Don't ask me why I was listening to the Royals.
John Rooney?
No.
You weren't listening to KMOX?
No, bro. Who's the guy locally, Shane? Denny Matthews. And he goes, well, no wonder he's throwing a gem. He should be familiar with pitching here, even though he wasn't very good. I said, that is so Denny.
And he's not wrong.
Just
Mike Myers was not very good.
It was 4 years of futility, right?
Yeah.
And then he had a pit stop someplace else before he came to the Royals. I can't remember where his short pit stop was. But yeah, then he got on him.
Good trivia.
So yeah, Hap, you can call in. We could talk Royals. We could talk whether
Patrick Mahomes is a dual threat.
He said, "I'll hang up and listen." Dude, his boss is cool. It's not like Dave would care.
No,
he's easy going.
I don't even know if our boss would care if you did the other way around.
Do you think I should go on Hap's show?
You should.
Do we have any midday competition?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet.
Ooh. Everybody loves that yet word.
Hey,
we say yet a lot.
Yeah, I may hit him up.
Angels, that's where he went. Mike Myers.
Oh, thank you. Who knew that already?
I looked it up.
I didn't even see you type.
It's just like
I've been watching horror movies too. You have telekinesis?
Something like that.
Dude,
so don't question.
Your boy has not been leaving the house a lot lately. I have watched a ton of television.
Gosh, I'm back on white collar again. For like the 5th time.
That doesn't sound like anything I would like.
Try it. Just try it.
Dude, that's what they say about drugs.
Give it a go. Well,
what happens?
I'm not that much of an influence.
Try it.
I'm not trying to take advantage of you now.
You got a white van and lollipops? Stop.
TB.
What?
I'm grown too. Just try the Danos.
Who says that?
Just try the Danos.
No, I am going to try the Danos. That's good.
The only reason you're trying it too is because it was sealed.
No, I would use it. I mean, you're not fingering the seasoning, are you?
Geez, that would be weird. Why would I do that?
You point the finger, you point the thumb.
If you gave me some open because if you killed me, we'd all be in trouble. Right? You'd have to find a new partner.
Yeah, but that'd be actually
Shane would be devastated. He would never come back.
That'd be the real problem, is trying to find a new partner.
Oh, that hurts my feelings.
Why?
Because I thought you were going to talk about the friendship. What not? The work capacity is like a.
Well, yeah, but because of our relationship.
Oh, now we're back to being kind.
That's why it would hurt the partner. It would hurt the partnership.
I hate to have to call home because I will tell moms on you.
No, she's listening.
Do you know what your son said to me? I seem very hurt right now.
She's listening right now. She's probably going to text me.
Well, good morning.
She's going to text me.
Well,
Andrew?
and she's going to
No.
say, well, Andrew, it did sound like it was all business, not personal.
Oh, no.
Shane, shut up.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
So, DB, is Patrick Mahomes a dual threat quarterback?
He absolutely is a dual threat quarterback.
I want to know the reasoning of why he isn't.
Well, Connor, 888-638-4876.
No, 888-638-4876. I thought you said 368.
Sometimes
my head's all over the place today.
Sometimes enunciation is a struggle.
Enunciation.
I missed my little girl. She did not come home last night.
Zoe?
Yeah, she spent the night with her friends. Living her best life. It was after dinner, and I'm like, dang, man, where is this little terror?
Was she down the road?
No, she spent the night at Miss Janelle's, so Jay wouldn't have to take her to.
Got it. Yeah.
Childcare early because she works.
Gosh, what is so he's 4, right? What's a sleepover for 4-year-olds like?
It's well, first of all, only you
like you just watch TV.
I don't believe in sleepovers at that age. I don't know what I was about to say, but strike that from the record. Your Honor, jury may disregard what I was about to say.
No, you're just getting a glass of water, right?
People
just taking a drink.
I don't believe in sleepovers at that age.
When do you believe sleepovers are okay?
Middle school.
Okay. That's probably when I first had a sleepover.
Middle school. Now, I mean, I'm sure culturally it's different for some people, but I just am not a sleepover guy.
What if they slept over at your house? Different? Because your daughter's there.
Pre-middle school?
Pre-middle school.
Yeah, I don't want a bunch of little girls running.
What if it's just one?
Oh, that's fine. Like if she wanted a little say.
So you'll believe if it's under your roof, but not.
I would.
Not if you send Zoe somewhere else.
Even like if it was like Sadie, like I don't know, man. Like I just think parents are weird. Like I think you need to get up and shower, stuff like that, man.
Okay, I know what you're saying because it's not like when you go to a sleepover, you do your normal morning activities or routines.
I used to pick the boys up. I'm like, hey, man, you guys shower? What did you know? I can't read, man.
LOL. Yes, I'm listening. Tell Damon hello.
Didn't it sound like I want to know if it sounded like you were making it personal?
No. Well, personal in a good way of like, I want this to stay personal.
Hey, high school Cody. I used to call him Gretna Cody, but he's
Is that Nebraska Cody?
He's an equal opportunity lover. Yeah, he said, I'd like to call and talk about the weather. We need rain. My question for you, at what point are you saying, I'm not going to say that. Forget it. I'm done watering my yard. Like we're at the point now where we're just throwing away money. You water in the 90. Yeah, see, I'm wondering if I should concede, but my grass is still sharp.
3 hours of watering.
I haven't seen my MUD bill. It's probably going to be $400.
Ashley's going to faint whenever she sees the bill.
It's all right. I don't have any kids yet. Double income, no kids. Live life. Water your brains out.
I do live life.
Right? Just water your flipping brains out. I don't know, Cody. It's tough. It is really tough. But back to the discussion. Patrick Mahomes is absolutely dual threat because he changes the way you can play defense because he can run the ball.
And that's what it is. It's not, hey, he's going to break off 40-yard runs, which he can. I mean,
for sure.
But Justin Herbert can do that too at any given point.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones can do that at any given point. But with Mahomes, he could take off for 5-10-yard stints and give you positive yards on any play.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying about escapability is just getting that first down.
You'd be hesitant to play man-to-man on third down or second and long because
he'll just break a run off.
Dude, his over-under almost every game is like 30 yards.
At least.
Right? He's dual threat.
At least. You know, Jalen Hurts
telling
last year,
you, man, 888-63, and he can do impersonations. Just disguise your voice. And I'm telling you, Dave would be mad.
Call in as if you're Patrick Mahomes. All you have to do is sound like Kermit.
You know what I would ask him? How do you handle Jackson? Like, he finally addressed it with the media last week. Very obscurely, but
he's a weird guy.
I just like to talk football.
Cross paths with him a couple of times during draft weekend.
Yeah,
not
Operation
great.
Pass.
We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, happy to have you with us here on Wednesday. Feels like a Tuesday, but it is indeed a Wednesday.
At the halfway point?
Yeah.
Plus, it's not like there are days off.
No, ever.
Man, it's like...
Even on days off, there aren't days off.
So, at what point did you get used to me not telling you every detail of the show that I wanted to talk about? Where you realized, okay, I better just pay attention to multiple things because my partner's crazy.
Are you talking about me? Thinking about you?
Shane, who does he think I'm talking to?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
When I used to send you what I thought?
Yeah.
Oh, early on.
You're like, this dude is kind of nuts.
That was in the struggle period. Like when
you had one of those?
Oh yeah. So like,
is this a black couch moment?
When we first, kind of. When we first started, it was one of those things where, I think I've told it at least once before, where I was retooling my brain to try to get out of the TV mindset.
Oh yeah. I remember that. That was a good show,
right? And I was so scripted with everything, and I just decided, let's just stop with the script. Let's just let it go.
This guy's kind of weird anyway.
Well, it was more like be weird too. Like I'm a weird guy, right?
Hey, that's the second passive aggressive blast he's got off.
No,
now I'm weird.
It's all in good nature.
First, you only worry about me because you don't want to find a new partner.
This is good, clean fun.
Now it's because I'm weird. Yeah.
No, we're both weird.
That's okay.
That's why people stick around and listen to us.
Shane, tell
through
him.
A show where we have not talked a lick of sports yet. That's why people say, well, I guess we talked about Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I blame Hap, too, because this dude, he woke up and said, I'm hungry. Feed me football schedules and game times. Like, I get it. I'm not going to tell people how to fan. I just think that's weird. Because full disclosure, and I know you're a schedule guy. So you're like, you're getting ready to bristle up. You're getting ready to bristle up and clap back.
Hey, hold
on. Like, I told you I love Connor.
Hold on. Let me put on my jersey real fast.
So, but here's the thing. I'm being honest. I've been trained to think that way. I don't worry about who we play. I don't worry about what the schedule is. But I get it.
Day by day. It's on the building.
What is it? It's on the freaking building. It's out front, day by day.
Day after day after day.
Day after day after day. I know, Coach. Day after day after day. It's like, what? What? Like, I'm telling you, like what? I mean, pardon my language. I mean, but.
Just trying to think of a good answer for you.
Well, I owe him after he got me. He got me tough.
Get your boy.
Man. I told you what he did.
Oh, I know what he did.
Yeah. I haven't really talked to him since.
All right, guys.
I'm just playing. I'm just serious.
Yeah.
But I'm not a schedule guy. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I probably should be more organized with when to sit down and watch television. But I'm watching it anyway. Mm-hmm. So I don't really, it's not like I'm like, ooh, man, September 1st, 11 o'clock kick is such and such. I don't know. I mean, I'll figure it out when I get there.
When Saturday rolls around?
Yeah, figure out, try how to beat Colorado by then. Aren't they the first?
They are.
I don't know. It's like, no, it's the 9th. No, it's the 31st and the 9th, right?
Minnesota is the 31st.
See, that's why I don't mess around. Mm-hmm. You know, we play a week before that, so I'm cool.
Yeah, don't think about Colorado. I'm for that. Like, I'm for that scheduled
talk. Don't think about Bellevue West. Think about Creighton Prep, baby.
I'm also on par with, hey, let's talk about the season entirely and figure out what it
want to predict wins and losses.
No.
Scintillating.
Hold on. I know you're not a wins-loss guy.
I mean, I'll have fun with you. I'm just not.
I know you're not
my jam.
But I think you can spin it a lot of different ways. Like, for example, what we'll get into this summer.
Por ejemplo.
Is
summer's almost over, by the way.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah. After College World Series, it's all downhill.
Well, okay. In the sports season, you mean?
Yeah. Shane, can we say College World Series? I know that thing is trademarked. If I'm not using it in an advertisement, I can say it's CWS, right?
We simply can't do that.
I hate when you can't just answer a question, man.
Yep. I don't know.
If you weren't like 98 pounds and kind of a waif, I would be a lot meaner to you.
Well, I think what we'll do is, and I already ran this by DB, so I can tease the people.
You did?
Yeah. We'll when we break down what is so-called the season, we'll break down the ceiling and floor of what we think of each Big Ten team.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I think is a good way
to
get around.
I'll humor you.
Going with wins and losses, right?
I'll definitely humor
you. You touch on those when you talk about those things, but you don't actually really just predict, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about what they have, their options, and then you kind of end on I think their floor is 8 wins.
Hey, so let me ask you along those lines, since we're predicting things that we don't know. Obviously, folks reported this weekend getting to school at Nebraska because workouts start. Who's helping Nebraska that's in early? That's not in early? Because technically this isn't early.
Mm-hmm. Who?
Yeah.
I think Danny is.
No, Danny has another year. We got him.
When you said help, though.
Oh, no. I meant like the Colemans, the Dawsons.
Got it. Okay. I thought you meant from the recruiting standpoint.
Fields.
Right, because we'll see a lot more of Danny in the recruiting standpoint this month.
I know. It's crazy. It's almost like he committed to Nebraska on my timeline because all I read about is Kalen. So this is a struggle for your boy, right? I obviously cheer for the kid. Like, I like him because he's.
But then you're
cool.
also thinking about week 3.
But I'm like, listen, man. I'm about to try to put it on you if we can, right? Like, I'm not this ain't rainbows and butterflies, man. We're gonna come up with some things to help try to slow you down.
After the season's over,
I'm back to cheering for you. Hey, listen, week 2, week 1, I think I don't know if there's 0 this year, they're not. And anything after that, fine, do you. But I can't, like, we got our quarterback. Like, that's who I'm riding with. Right. But then I have to remember, I have a job to do. So I have to fade in and out of being objective.
Okay,
you know
thinking back to your question, you asked who's helping the team right now.
Yeah.
Young coming in or just anybody?
Yeah, that's coming in that wasn't there in spring.
That wasn't there in spring.
I mean, the obvious answer, I think, for some, and I'm not of this ilk. People say Malachi Coleman.
Right.
People say Fields.
Mm-hmm.
I love Fields.
I
just think it's very. You talk about having to get ramped up to speed, and he's playing behind some dudes.
Mm-hmm. But he is a dude.
If Fields plays early, Claude have mercy. It won't be because Nebraska's bad. Situationally, and then till he gets it. Yeah, because the scheme. See, this is what I love about their scheme. We're not sharing secrets, but I think it's a scheme in which it's not predicated on how much you know right away to get on the field. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that. That's safe, right?
I think that's a safe way to put it.
You in a good mood or what?
Well, I'll say this at least. Malachi is going to have to help out this team early.
I don't know about that.
I don't know if there's anybody out there that feels overly comfortable.
Did you hear the 5 receivers that were named when he was talking about McGuire?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying McGuire can't find 3.
But it just
really
seemed like he listed off a
guys.
ton of guys. And I'm like, well, shoot. If that's the case, maybe you don't have to play early.
I don't know. I'm still on the. I'm still sensing an early rise for him.
But you do see. I think Doss is more ready. He may not have Kai's upside, but he's more game ready. It's like I liken it to you weren't here yet, but you were just up the road, right? No, you weren't actually. I liken it to Rex Burkhead and with that class coming up.
Okay.
I said Aaron Green has way more upside.
But he's not the
ready Burkhead is ready today.
And I'm for that. I'm for that point.
You know what I mean? Like I kind of go back. Listen, you get some time, go back and watch Doss. I think he's underappreciated because it was kind of there was this weird shroud when he committed, right? Full disclosure, one coach wanted him, the other coach didn't.
Right.
He committed to one coach, not necessarily to the other. So the one coach basically was giving the other coach a hard time. It was like, look, man, don't give me free reign and not give me free reign. So, his announcement was a little delayed, I thought. Like, it was a little subdued. But he's a really good player. Like, and wide receiver's hard. I know the conventional wisdom is, oh, man, wide receiver, you just run out there and you catch a pass and go deep. Throw it to him.
It's a lot more to it than that.
It absolutely is, man. Quarter, half, thirds, are they in man under, they in cloud, when to sit down, when not to sit down, like how to get in and out of breaks.
A lot of it's what you do without the football.
A lot of it is feel. A lot of it is feel. Cooper Kupp isn't wowing anybody. Neither is D-Hop. You look at DeAndre Hopkins, you're not like, ooh, man, super burner. No, tremendous hands and great
gets to the spot.
Great feel.
Really good feel for the game. And to add to that point, you talk about a guy like Kupp. When the ball's not in his hands, say the ball's getting downfield, he's putting his hands on a body. He's blocking.
Or occupying, right? Hey, man, you got to hold the half. I want you to run at that. I want you to get to that free safety's hip. Snap his eyes around. Stuff like that. So we got to think about that because I don't know, man.
I think that's a really good question, too, to pass along to BC because we'll be talking to him next.
We call that a tease. That's well done. I feel like you're kind of like Yoda.
Shane?
I'm still Mace.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a circus act.
Brian Christopherson.
Well, I mean, that's pretty interesting.
Brian Christopherson.
I kind of enjoy that.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
Hey, top of the hour here on Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, happy to have you back. Wherever you find us, 590 ESPN Radio Omaha. We are live on Twitter, live on YouTube. You can catch us on the Hail Varsity YouTube page, the Hurrdat Sports YouTube page as well if you want to catch us on the stream. We appreciate all of your comments on YouTube. Keep sending those in. If you want to give us a call, 888-638-4876. That's how you can be involved on the show. Let's go to our first guest of the morning. It's Brian Christopherson. He is our regular, and he is all golfed up after the week. BC, good morning. How was the new golf course out in, is it Homer, Nebraska?
It is Homer. I did not play it yet. Coworker Mike Schaefer did. I went up through, I played TPC Deer Run.
That's mixed them up.
No, that's all right. I played Cog Hill, which is in Chicago. Dubs Dread is the other name for it. And then Aaron Hills and a course called Lawsonia, which is the hat I'm rocking. It's got a little deer on it.
BC, how'd you swing it?
As good as I could at this point. I'm like probably a 16 to 18 handicap, and I played
good.
Well, I played about to that level. The courses were a little bit above my my expertise, though, we might say. I took an 11 on one hole. That was the 18 at Aaron Hills, which if people know their U.S. Open history, Justin Thomas hit a 3-wood from 300 yards into the green. They have a plaque out in the fairway, and he eagled it. And I found I had 4 sand trap shots on that hole. So I had more sand trap shots than he had shots on that hole. And it was kind of a bummer of a finish to the round.
Why didn't you just put a snowman? Why didn't you just put an 8 and just call it a day? Why did you give yourself an actual 11?
No offense to the courses I love around, my Mahoney courses and things around that. I think you can do that there, but I don't know at Aaron Hills you're allowed to. It feels like you got to put what it actually was and represent it, to the letter of the law.
Hey, BC, are you that guy that when you go play, you put the prerequisite number of clubs in your bag, or do you just carry whatever?
I used to not get to the. I guess I didn't even know what the max was. It's 14. Yeah,
it's like I have 1, 2.
Yeah. I did put 14 in there for this trip, right on the number, because I didn't want to be frowned upon by like some caddy I didn't have a caddy. My dad did at Aaron Hills, but I didn't want to see one of those guys see it and be like, "Hey, 15 clubs, bro. What do you think this is?" So
how much did the caddy improve your dad's game? Like, especially like on the greens. Reading greens is always so difficult for me. How much did the caddy improve your dad's game?
He was a college kid. He knew his stuff, and he was just a great company. I could tell in his eyes he was worried on the first hole about the group he had gotten, and if we were up to
He's like, "Oh, great."
I love my dad to death, and my dad's not quite as good as I am, but he tries his butt off, and the first
that is so diplomatic.
Yeah, that's the nice way of saying
nothing screams BC like that last 6 seconds.
The first hole at Aaron Hills, he scored a 10. And it was bad. I mean, there were like a couple ground ball shots we're talking, and there's people like back on the box waiting to play, and you're like, oh my goodness. Like, and so we get to the second tee box, and I'm just saying a prayer for my dad's like, come on, man, hit one here, get it going.
Come on, Daddy.
And he nailed it, man. And it was right. And he took off. Like, for him, he had like 3 pars on the front 9 and played about as good a golf as he could. So we ended up just torching Aaron Hills, I would basically say. I'm exaggerating, but for us, we handled it.
BC, we're getting into this conversation with folks coming this weekend, and social media all ablaze about who's on campus now, and everybody's showing up. You got some non-early enrollees that you think contribute right away?
Ooh.
My man GP, he gave me 4, and I actually like a couple, but he doesn't have your boy. He has RVP, which is obviously Van Poppel. He has Doss. He has my man, Mr. Alvano, which I think is a slam dunk. And he actually has D. Bell, which I think is interesting because I think he's flying under the radar. Thoughts?
Well, that's interesting because I was about to write about Demetrius Bell this morning. Because I'm going. It seems like I'm copying your paper, but I'm going through them one by one. and he's next on my list of the new arrivals. But who was the guy you're saying that was my guy? That
I think he's my guy too. Because during
you
the
guys
break,
both had him in your Super Six.
During the break, I told DB, I said, "Man, I'm struggling to figure out who was there early, who was not." So I had to go through the list again to see. And I go,
Eric Fields.
Well, no,
we talked about him. I'll let you
I mentioned Ethan Nation. And I've been on Ethan Nation.
You like Nation too, don't you?
From the very
BC?
beginning.
Yeah, he was my sleeper on the Super Six.
Yep.
I like Ethan Nation because he's like 5'10", 160 is his listing or something like that. So he's not a big guy, but every high level camp or setting like that he's been to, he's matched up against top receivers, and our guys say he covers. I mean, he just know it's just in him, you know. So I always look at positions for new arrivals where there's a few spots on the field where I think there's more of a chance to get on the field early. I think it's very tough to do in the trenches, but sometimes you see it at cornerback or something like that. So I could see us at least hearing about somebody like Ethan Nation or Dwight Boodle II, who it sounded like was sort of coming on. He's already on campus. I'm not casting him in the group that's incoming. But he had a good second end of the spring. So one of those true freshman corners could rise up. I think Eric Fields is a name I would at least add to the mix. Is like, I don't know where they're going to put him exactly or how that's going to play out, but just I go back to those December comments by Matt Rule about his potential and just how much this coaching staff sort of loves what he's about.
Okay, so he's arguably my favorite in the class, but I almost talked myself out of it because of the situation that he's in with who he plays behind. It's very tough to play that second level spot, but it is a user-friendly scheme. AR hit me with, hey, could you use him like Hausman situationally, at least early on till he finds his footing? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm back on board. Like maybe he could play early. Because I think if he comes in shape and he's fit, he's a gifted player, and it's a scheme that could be user friendly for his skill sets.
180 tackles as a senior, and I wrote this the other day. I think he would have had a lot more recruiting attention, but his junior year in the 6th game, he suffered an injury, and guess how many tackles he had already then? 88 that season in his 6 games.
So BC, can I say something without you thinking, oh man, it's just his kid? See, that's how I feel. You know, Caleb was coming off a sophomore season with 90 some odd tackles, and he missed 3 games. And I was thinking, okay, without junior film, it's kind of sluggish, right? We hear from all these schools, and it's like, golly, you know, we'd love to see junior tape. That missing piece of tape, I think, is actually pretty poignant. It's like that's astute when you're looking at his trajectory.
And that's coming from a DB versus a linebacker.
Right.
Like he's not involved in as many plays as Fields, and that's a high number.
Yeah, I think it matters. And also, you know, Eric Fields, as much as we say nobody is hidden under a rock anymore in recruiting, which is true to a degree, there are certain places where coaches just don't stop in as much. I mean, because it's not on your route and you're not covering as much ground with recruits by going through there. And Ardmore, Oklahoma, where he's from, happens to be one of those spots where he just wasn't getting the same probably eyes on him that some of the hubs around there were. You know, his dad was a Golden Gloves heavyweight champion. I love stuff like that. I love when it's like in the genes like that. And he was the guy who also Fields had the quote to us when he committed about how football's too pit pat right now. It's like, and he's this, like, he says stuff that kind of gets me fired up for a teenager to say. So, yeah, he's a guy that I'd keep in mind, but you're right. Some of this matters with what position group you're walking into, who's there, what's the depth chart look like. Of course, a guy like him who had a great indoor 60 time, you know, there might be a role for some of those guys on special teams to kind of get going, and then you take off from there. We'll see.
BC, without trying to fuel up the fan base too much here, is Malachi Coleman a guy you can see reaching his ceiling fast enough to be a part of this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, wide receiver is open for a few of those freshmen to play right away. And when you look at Coleman's spot, and when I say play right away, that doesn't mean you're like the second or third guy, but if you fit into like that 5th to 7th part in the room, where you can come in and give some snaps and you can be relied on, and there's just certain things you do well, that's going to be a help. You know, Malachi was around all spring. He wasn't an early enrollee, but he was over there a lot of mornings watching the practices, seeing exactly how it's done, right there with the wide receivers as they go through their stuff. So I think that could give him an advantage. You know, he's a determined young guy, and yeah, there's pressure because you're the local, you know, prospect star, but he's dealt with that as most of his high school career, and I think he's got a good head on his shoulders to handle it. So Jaden Doss is a good one that someone threw in because you know, yeah, Satterfield talks a lot about like the positionless offense, and you see how they move the parts like Bonner and stuff. And you talk about a guy who's jack of all trades, and what he did in high school, it's Jaden Doss.
Well, if you're taking a look at the summer ahead, and we asked the question about Satterfield versus White, and I don't mean versus like pitting it against. I mean, one guy seems to kind of not be. This is weird, BC. Let me land the plane quickly here. We think we know how they want to play on offense because we keep hearing it: tight end, run the ball, fullback. Yet, again, I asked you a month ago. We don't talk about Satterfield a ton. Tony White, we hear 3-3-5, and we're like, we have questions. I kind of get the sense as this thing is going along, Nebraska feels like they can figure out offense. They're going to be good on defense. Like if they had their druthers. Does that seem accurate?
Yeah.
It's okay if you tell me to flag height because I'm just thinking out loud here.
So you think you would argue you think the defense will be ahead at the beginning?
I think if Nebraska had their choice and they wanted to win tomorrow, they would focus all their time on defense and they'll figure out a way to score points.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. I can get behind that philosophy too. I think there's a lot to be said for when you go through the spring and listen to Rule and they talk about situational football too, and just how they complement each other and understanding, you know, you don't have to score every possession. Like in this league, some of it's about patience and grinding it out. And like it's playing for territory a little bit in the Big Ten. I was explaining football to someone who doesn't really follow it the other day, and I was saying it's a game of territory in a lot of ways. You're trying to back them up and position yourself to eventually you strike, and I think that's somewhat what goes into your planning with offense in this league is you got to get a first down or two, but not every drive is going to be that 75-yard march. You've got to have the type of resilience on your offense where you say we're just going to keep pounding at them and it's going to break down. But if we trust our defense, we're going to put them in spots where they can succeed. We're going to make the other team travel the long field. All that stuff can add up to winning games Nebraska hasn't won before. And I would go along with you, too. I think defense can potentially really help carry this squad early on. There's still question marks I have on that side, too. But it did feel like throughout the spring, they really had a nice progression because of the first week or two, I was like, I don't know exactly where they're at or how this is going to go. That's sort of what you'd expect. But then by the end of it, you know, they were winning scrimmages and you just got the sense guys were really starting to understand what they're supposed to do. And they really buy into, I think, Tony White's teaching in all ears when he's talking.
We're talking to Brian Christopherson, senior writer for Husker 24/7 at Husker247BC on Twitter. BC, based on results and results only, who in year one will have the most success? The combination of Matt Rule's Nebraska team paired with Ryan Walters' Purdue team or Luke Fickell's Wisconsin team?
Okay.
So you're looking at the combo between Rules and Walters or just Fickell on his own?
Okay. I'd go Rule and Walters. I mean, if you give me two options to one, if that's the way this is, I would take those guys. I think Wisconsin's got questions too. I mean, maybe they're a little further ahead than Their recent history hasn't been amazing, but prior to that, you'd say there's more of it stacked up where you sort of believe, they're at a little higher ground than those other schools. I love Ryan Walters a lot as a coach. Obviously what he did at Illinois, I'm intrigued how he handles sort of being the head man and what that looks like, and the staff he surrounded himself with. But I'm not completely sold on Wisconsin yet. I don't know what to make of them. I got to study them a lot more, though. I'll be honest. I don't know everything about them, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to a new offensive identity and if it takes some time for that to gel.
Fundamentally, usually we're in lockstep. There's something about them, though, BC, and I don't know if I'd love
in
to
regards
be
to Wisconsin.
I'd love to be wrong is the term I'm looking for, but I don't know, man. I've watched them a couple of times live, and not that means anything because I don't really, I'm not saying, hey, what do you want to play? What do you want to do? Like, I don't know that. I just know when I watch them, they look a lot further along than I thought. And I think that staff, I've said this before, I'm telling you, BC, that staff is legit.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I'll go with your take on that for now, and I'm not just saying that.
And I want to be wrong because I don't want them to be a problem. I just think they're going to be. Like, I want to be wrong.
Well,
right?
I think you have the best of the three of us. You have way more insight on them, seeing them than we do. So my opinion's based off that sort of you're at a distance. You sort of saw them scuffle last year. What's exactly in that cupboard? Like, how are they going to adapt to the new offense? That's where my answer comes from. But you're watching them up close a couple times, and you can compare and contrast some things. So Luke Fickell's had a lot of success. There's no doubt about it. I think he's going to be successful up there. It's no surprise he put together a good staff, and Nebraska's job over time is to be that program that those guys just throw some haymakers at each other in the years to come. That's what you want to see. I mean, that's what I've been waiting for in this league for a long time with Nebraska, is to be in those type of games that are in the alley on an October or November day where it's 21-17 and it means a lot. So that's what I hope we get to.
You know what's funny? Full disclosure. It's nothing. Yes, a little bit of it is that I've seen them, but I told this story during the show and it got my attention, so I started paying attention. Coach Rule was talking to Caleb about some other schools and kind of gauging interest level. This was early. And one of the schools we talked about was Wisconsin. And Coach Rule immediately said, oh, man, Fick does a good job. Fick is this. Fick is that. Fick this, that, and the other. And I remember sitting in my seat. I was with one of my buddies, Adam. I'd taken him down to Lincoln, and I remember sitting in my seat. I kind of glanced at him. He glanced at me, and I'm like, that's either a guy that is ridiculously honest, super secure, or both.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm kind of going through this now. You don't hear a lot of coaches that just come out and say things like that about other schools. And there were a couple of schools that he referenced regionally that I wouldn't say is a worry, but definitely have his attention. And I kind of get the sense Wisconsin is one of them.
Yeah, that strikes me as someone who's very comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah, I got
it. Right? And about what they do. And
so it alerted me to pay attention. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. And also, I think it shows, like, yeah, he's got good stuff, but it's that confidence, like, we got good stuff too. And, there's some of that, I think, with that. But yeah, you have to be comfortable to say that. That's an interesting story.
They're a lot. They're a lot alike. Like so you know me, I'm always trying to learn, right? I'm like, yeah, what is it about this? Because I kind of have, the rural man crush, right? So I wanted to see, right? And I think a lot of it is that they're they're so involved in every facet of a practice. Like you'll see Coach Rule with quarterbacks. You'll see Coach Rule with O-line. You'll see Coach Rule go over with D-line. You'll see him hop in a tackling drill, with the DBs. Like they share in special teams. Like they share those omnipresent things at practice where it seems like they're everywhere.
Is that a big deal, you think, Damon, to a team as someone who's in coaching, if the head coach is sort of one of those guys who during a practice, he's always in your, you see him around in your area as opposed to you feel like, no, he's over with those guys. Does that matter or doesn't it?
Great question. That's a great question.
The questioner becomes the questionee.
It's I think, yes, it does matter. Right. And I'll take it to high school. Coach Martin over at North had his hand in everything. He got a little away from offense at one point, and he told me that's not going to happen again. Coach Freund, extremely involved in all facets. Coach Lamanji, yes, I absolutely think.
Can I follow up?
And Coach, yes, BC, I think. Out loud. That's a great question.
There's no difference from high school to college then?
Not that I've seen, right? Because, and I hate to steal BC's time. BC, should I answer this or save it?
Yeah, answer it.
Okay. So I don't think there's a difference between high school and college. I think coaches that have great command in the totality of the game give themselves a chance. Specialty coaches can still be good. They just have to they have less margin for error in their hires.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Does that make sense? Because you and I, BC, remember, this is a long time ago, so I'm stretching you, and I know you talk to a lot of people. But remember, I felt like one of the things that gave Rule confidence with Raiola was the fact that Satterfield had helped coach O-line, and Coach Rule knows O-line. Do you remember? I just think that gave him some comfort, so he could look at some other tangible pros that he thought that Donnie brought to the table.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Rule's background in the, I remember in December he said, someone asked him if he had a favorite spot to coach, and he said, I won't go that route, but he did say offensive line and defensive line is where he gravitates to some. So I think his background there, knowing that he has the same kind of philosophy of O-line play as Raiola, was a big part in that.
Really, it's just a culture thing at the end of the day. It's the culture that he establishes. It's the culture that is established at West Side and high school football. If you have a good grasp on culture, you'll be able to be comfortable to put your hand in a different pots.
No, that's interesting about Fickle. That was interesting stuff.
I just remember that he said it too.
BC, we appreciate you, man. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, B.
Kevin Sjuts up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon, Benning, Andrew Rogers, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday. And we are here talking to Kevin Sjuts now. Kevin Sjuts, sports director over at 1011 now in Lincoln. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, buddy. How are you feeling? Like, some people think this is like the doldrums starting, but it's kind of not, especially because you love high school. Like, what are you like grinding, getting to school? Like, what are you doing right now when it comes to high schools, considering most football stuff is just getting going either yesterday or today?
Well, right now it is Legion baseball. You know, those guys don't rest. High school baseball season ended 2 weeks ago.
You're not kidding.
And whether they're playing prospects or perfect game events or Legion, those dudes were playing in like double headers the following weekend. So, we're right into Legion baseball. We had some highlights on the news last night of that. And then, it's camp season, and a lot of these guys, some of them are staying local and attending camp. Some are traveling. And I guess this would be an opportunity to shout out a really cool track and field event that's happening at Nebraska Wesleyan on Saturday. They're
this
bringing
weekend.
in some of the – it's Saturday. They call it I forget the exact name of it. But it's at night, so they'll have some of the races under the lights. And if you look at the list of who's going to be there, Sam Kapos is going to throw. Carson Stair, he's going to jump there. And some of those studs from Waverly, they're going to be on the track too. So, it's not a dull time right now for the local sports scene.
How Spartan was it, Kevin, last week for East to win the way that they did against Millard West? I know you were probably the least surprised because they're just gritty and gutty, and they got enough young talent. Like, they got some stuff in the coffers to be pretty good for a while.
They are not going away anytime soon. The incoming freshman class, I'll tell you that right now, they've got studs on studs in that incoming freshman class. And that's not to say they're not good in the sophomore and junior class. Just to make their JV and reserves team, you had to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
So Lincoln East and CB, let's give a shout out for Carter Mick, your guy.
Yes.
For the state championship game.
CB's boy, Kevin. The man crush is in full effect, man. And it's, do you know what? You know the weird thing. You know how it started, because he was he seemed like such a good person. You know, he would drop a quiet 19 or 20 and wouldn't say a word. He'd strike out 9, and everybody would talk about what he isn't. I'm just like, you know what? His expression never changes. He just competes. That was the whole catalyst.
Yeah, great kid, mom and dad, great people, awesome family.
Yeah, his dad's fantastic. I don't know moms.
Well, my wife knows his mom very well too, and just great family. You know, we were aware of Carter before Carter was Carter, you know, in terms of the high school sports fans. And he took the mound and was awesome in the Class A championship, just pounced the strike zone. And I think that performance alone, you know, I know he's a basketball guy and he's really interested in playing at the next level in hoops. But when you do that in a Class A final, there might be some big-time offers that could maybe enter the discussion for him. And how great of a championship game was that? And that
he outdueled Dermer, and Dermer's going to Iowa.
Right, and you know, it was an intense game, and the moment wasn't too big for him. And it looked like, you know, Millard West was going to walk it off with the sack fly, but Troy Peltz, the left fielder,
Peltz is going to be a stud. You talk about young talent. How good is Peltz going to be? And Worthley.
Awesome. You know, that game, if you didn't enjoy that game as a high school baseball fan, I'm sorry. D1 talent all over the field.
Yep.
AJ Avasco's going to Kansas State. Yeah. I mean, what an awesome game. And you're right. You know, it's very Spartan of them. Play a game close, come up with winning plays when they needed it.
Only thing you wouldn't enjoy was maybe the weather that night, but I'll tell you what, the whole night itself from all 3 classes, plays at the plate were kind of like the X factor, right? It was in Class B, it was how the game ended, and then you get in Class A, it was how the game extended. You're right, Kevin. It was a total frenzy for a baseball fan. And on top of that, you had the Big Ten tournament at Chuck last week, and you were there, I'm going to guess over 100 hours because all I ever did was see you at Chuck covering Nebraska. But, you know, I want to ask you this because I was hearing a lot of conversation about the team, and then I was hearing status of Coach Bolt a lot over the past few days, and if he's on the hot seat or if the seat should be hotter than what people are talking about. It was kind of just an all-encompassing thing. But based on what you saw this season, would you consider with what they had, because they have, you know, they set records, they have guys going to the draft, top guys, would you consider the end result a disappointment?
Yes, I hate to say it, but, you know, that team deserves or should be playing in the NCAA tournament. If you look at the talent level that they have with Max and Bryce, I mean, they are 2 of the best players Nebraska's had over the past 20 years. They're on the same team, and they bat next to each other in the lineup sometimes. They play up the middle, 2 key positions. For them to have the season done here before June, that hurts a little bit. That team's good. It's just, I think the thing that maybe did them in was those midweek losses. That it's just not good for the resume. And if you win, let's just say 4 of them, you're pushing, upper 30s, maybe around 40 wins for the season. I think that gets you an at-large berth, and it would have taken some of the pressure off of the Big Ten tournament. It was a fun season. It's just a shame that it's already done.
Kevin, if there's anything such as a man of the people, I would guess it would be you in the city of Lincoln. Where does baseball rank in its fervor from your standpoint amongst those sports on campus?
It depends upon how the team's doing. I felt like the Friday night home games. Yeah, I felt like the Friday night home games. There's some juice lack, some energy. There have been times. I've covered this team for almost 20 years, just the local sports scene, and I can remember where Friday night everybody's there, and there was anticipation all afternoon for the night game. And this year it was like the only time I felt that was the last Friday night home game of the season. It's like, oh, this is a big deal. And I think that was partly because they were playing to get a good seat for the Big Ten tournament. So in the fervor, yeah, a big deal, like when they're good. And I hate to say it's circumstantial, but I feel like with baseball, that's maybe the case. And that hasn't always been the case. I just feel like that's the way it has been for the last 5 years.
Kevin, couple of names hitting the transfer portal, and then one that was more shocking than the rest, I would say, in Corbin Hawkins, arguably the best relief pitcher for the team this season. Though. And he had, and he was. But he left more of a cryptic message whenever he posted. It was like, could you stay in college? Because you have all this eligibility left. But you would say, like, hey, I'm going to the transfer portal. So then it had me thinking, like, is he draft ready? Like, is this guy ready to go? Where do you think Corbin Hawkins' status rests going forward?
Yeah, what that was like? Did he retire? Is he going to play baseball?
And on the same day as Buns too, right? Guys that had kind of been through it. I wondered if it was fatigue. I don't know, Kevin.
I don't know either. And CJ Hood also hit the portal recently too.
Yep.
So the Hawkins thing, and that one kind of hurts because he was such a great story. A guy that changed the way he threw and was very effective and played multiple roles this year. I like this story, and to know that he's not going to play anymore for Nebraska, that one kind of hurts. And Buns, by the way, like that shocked me that he still plans to play college baseball. I thought he was done. He had his senior day.
Yep.
So wish those guys well. If Corbin Hawkins isn't done playing baseball, hat tip to him for knowing when to hang it up. But, man, I felt like every time I watched him that there was still quite a bit left in the tank for him.
Kevin, we appreciate you, man, as always on Wednesday. We'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks. Have a great day.
Thanks, Kev.
All right, you guys too. Thank you.
That's Kevin Sjuts, sports director at 1011 Now.
I thought baseball would be higher in Lincoln, the feel.
You would think, but I actually don't disagree with his answer.
And he would know, right? I mean, he's in it, and he's pretty popular.
Hey, when we come back, let's revisit what BC and us were talking about
there's some stuff
on the very back end of our conversation, because there's some juiciness to those details.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back. If you're looking for something to do tonight, why don't you head over to Werner Park? It is Bark in the Park, which means you can bring your pooch and go enjoy the Omaha Storm Chasers take on the Memphis Redbirds. Enjoy some baseball with your dog on the outfield berm or section 101, the only spots that you can sit if you're bringing your dog, unless you have, if I remember reading this correctly, unless you have the service dog vest or whatever, and then you can sit, I believe, in any seat in the ballpark. But I double-checked by going to OmahaStormChasers.com to get your tickets. And then on June 1st, they will be celebrating Pride Night to kick off Pride Month. The Storm Chasers will be highlighting nonprofit orgs around the concourse who are involved with the supporting the LGBTQ community. The Chasers will wear special community series jerseys as well. So if you're interested in that game, get your tickets again at OmahaStormChasers.com. I will end up at the ballpark, like I said, one of these nights because I got to see my boy Jay walk before he ends up leaving me.
Yeah. You can't be going to see the enemy.
Are you taking your dog?
Go Chasers.
I thought about taking Molly, but I didn't know if I wanted to sit on the grass.
When I was running the sound.
It's fine. It's cool out there.
Yeah, but
you're kind of by the family fun zone out there. Like,
I kind of like having a seat, place to put down the drink, get a dog.
Why are you so bougie?
Hot dog.
When I was running the sound for
they do.
And it's also like, why not spend the extra $5-10 to sit in a seat versus the grass? I mean, it's not crazy in price difference, like versus if we were at a Major League Baseball ballpark.
Very affordable.
Very affordable. So I may just spend the extra money, sit in the seat.
Leave Miley at home.
Miley.
When I was running the sound for the
Charles Barkley, baby. Miley Cyrus.
For the Golden Spikes, the Bark at the Park night that they had back then, that was always one of the better, more fun nights to.
How long ago that was?
It was a long time.
Golden Spikes.
I know, Golden Spikes, but it was. I mean,
did you have a dog?
It was so much fun because you were playing lots of dog music. You were playing lots of
dog music.
Oh yeah, who let
the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out? You play some Snoop Dogg. You could play.
Wait, MC was playing Snoop.
Yeah.
Snoop-a-loop.
Yep. Oh, there's radio edits.
Can you see MC out there just crip walking? Hey. No, sorry, MC. He's probably too professional for all that.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
At Bark in the Park, are you going?
Yeah. It sounds interesting. Sounds like it could be a lot of fun. So
that's tonight. So get your tickets.
Get my tickets. All right.
All right, let's go back to our previous conversation with Brian Christopherson, because if I remember correctly, DB, the question posed was how athletes react to when a coach, more specifically a head coach, kind of hangs out more with your position group over others, right? And like how that would make a player feel.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought is it's an age thing. In high school, like it's more like, okay, I'm here to be coached. I'm here to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
In college, you're kind of taking a step further. Like, no, I've been there, done that. I'm still here to be coached, but I know what I need to be doing because I know what my ability is. And then in the pros, it's like, no, I'm going to coach myself. Like, you're going to be here. You can give me some pointers, but ultimately I'm going to do me. And so that's why I kind of rest with, I think it's an age thing, and it does differentiate from all levels.
I mean, there are some salient points in there.
Because normally it's a bad thing if the coach is,
So, but here's
hanging
the thing,
out by you.
Kind of. But for some coaches, I'm empowering people to think for themselves. For some coaches, they gravitate towards their strengths, not necessarily where there's a deficiency. Sometimes coaches gravitate towards the deficiency.
And I'm with that.
So, you asked if there's a difference between high school and college. See, I don't think so. I think what coaches deem important is important. I'll take a very, very popular school, right? Bellevue West. What's Bellevue West good at? Offense or defense?
And they're very good at offense.
Offense. They have a very offensive-minded coach. A coach who has tried to get better defensively for a long time. When they kicked our tail at state, I felt like they were better defensively. And they had a great O-line. AJ4, like they had some fellas up front on the O-line, but they were so good along the D-line. It was miserable. Malcolm Lee and Camise, and they were very good up front. So I think if you ask him, if he took some truth serum, if you called Coach Huffman, he said, "Hey, what's going to get you guys over the hump?" Now he may talk about consistency in the run game or something like that, but I guarantee defense is going to come up. But he's got to speak it into existence. He's got to give you got to give defense its due. You got to split time. You got to have offensive and defensive emphasis. And I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm saying that's what they have to do in order to turn the corner. One of the first places Coach Slamanji spent the bulk of his time was offensive line. Why did he come over to offensive line when he got to Westside? Not because Coach Williams isn't a good coach, because he's a great coach. He wanted to instill his toughness with all our schemes, right? We do a lot of different things up front. And some people will tell you, I don't think Westside's very good up front, right? I thought we could take advantage of your line. I've heard all of this the last couple of years. Coach Freund, where was he heavily involved? Special teams. Why are our special teams good? Because when head coaches get involved in that particular area, special teams at our place gets 30 minutes. That's an eternity in high school.
Right.
But we have to win that. We have to win
and I
understand that part of the game.
I
right?
understand what you're saying, especially at the high school level, because I'm with you there.
So
it's the college thing for me where I think it's a little bit different.
So let me fast forward. What impressed me when I went to Nebraska? Well, there are a couple things. Number one, the tempo, the organization, the attention to detail, where a head coach was hopping in multiple drills. That's where the whole shorts thing came up. Man, why are you always wearing shorts? It's 34 degrees out here. Well, I want to be able to hop in. I want to be able to hop in a drill and get in a drill. So that's I get it, right? Like sometimes I see him down with the O-line. Sometimes I'm watching him talk to the gunners on special teams, and they're going live, right? Where when you're head coach is involved, it commands everybody's attention. It's not like he uses different facets of practice to take time off to go do something else. He's heavily involved, which is how I felt about Fickell. I watched him stand in the middle of live work so he could look at the O-line from behind. He looked like an umpire in an officiating crew, right? Like he was getting ready to throw a flag, like he's in the thick of it, right? And then I watched him do special teams for 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, probably 20 minutes. He ran the drills, and he has a special teams coach. So I'm thinking it just commands everybody, and he's supposed to be a defensive guy.
Right.
But he hired a guy in Hischler and Tressel. Tressel's coached in 2 championship games in the playoff era at different schools, which no one's done. And Hischler, his DB coach, is the co-coordinator who could run his own defense. So sometimes it's about need. Sometimes it's about where a guy is comfortable. But the general point is when the team picks up on what's important to the coach, they'll respond accordingly.
Yeah, and okay, you bring up a lot of good points. Let me clarify then where my head is at after what I spoke about and what you just spoke on. Maybe it's more of when a coach is being critical, you think like that when you're at that level, if a coach is spending a lot of time with your group, something is getting figured out. And maybe it's more on that front with my point versus they're sharing time because they want a hand in every basket because they know they can add something to the group. So I think that's where I kind of sit with everything. It may just be a small thing, like something very, very like a minor point to go with the major, but I guess that's just coaching in general, though, because you have to be involved as a head coach no matter what. But in the same light, you also have to be the bad guy in a lot of instances because you're going to be the one that changes how things are run.
So I don't know if I subscribe. So if you hire right, this is interesting because you asked a lot of good questions. So Jiminy Christmas. So if you hire right, you don't have to micromanage.
Yep. Sure.
Okay.
With that, 100%.
But when players know the head coach is invested in what they're doing from a position standpoint, it seems to dictate.
Has a lot of meaning.
Buy-in. Right. I watch Coach Martin's a good example at North. Right. He's got a great offensive mind in his OC. He got away from the offense for a couple of years just because he trusted him. Right. And then he's like, old coach feels like he needs to be doing something. I don't want to be all Bobby Bowden. I want to get back involved in some offense. Right. It's not because there's a deficiency. It's because it's important to him. So what does the school intern do? Hey, we're not just a defense run the ball kind of school now. My head coach is back on offense. Let's try to score some points. I mean, it goes both ways.
We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Oh, man, worst time to get a tickle in your throat. Right now. Right now when you come back from the break. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment and tell you about Zipline Brewing. Zipline is the place to be, especially in the next 2 weeks. Well, let's go over the next, would it be 4 weeks now? Yeah, June would be about a 4-week stint until the end of the College World Series. Hang out in their downtown Omaha tap room right across the street from the Chuck. It is a block from CHI. It's right between Slowdown and Film Streams. It's a tap room designed to quench your thirst and have all the action on TV while you drink the freshest pints around. Check them out. It's the downtown Omaha tap room. That's at least where I'll end up once or twice, maybe 4 times, maybe 12.
As long as you don't go to bed early.
Yeah. Good one. That was nice.
I got
that
you,
was
man.
nice.
Sometimes we got to be able to laugh at ourselves, right?
And sometimes, we just need that protection. We just need to feel safe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. How'd that go over?
No one else feels more safe than the guy that won $3 million from his dire loss claim suit.
Yeah,
right?
and that's my man. Well, I don't. So I told you about the recommendation that I gave my air quotes friend. I'm not going to call him by name, considering it much like legal matters. You can't use people's names sometimes. You're not liable to speak on him, but he has been recommended by Dyer Law, and he knows it's close, just over there off of 117th Street. It's really Arbor. Some people say Center, but it's Arbor. My buddy has an office right by there too. So personal injury attorneys, they got a great team, liability, workers' comp. You know, when you want to be fairly represented by some professionals, you got to do the Dyer Law. Go to Dyer.law, or like he did, he gave him a buzz. Hey, I told him to Google. He actually wanted the number and who to ask.
What did you tell him to do?
I didn't say it because I felt bad. Google.
There it is.
I didn't say it because and I sent it to him over text, but it was 402-393-7529 for the fine folks over at Dyer Law.
Man, what?
Are you still going back to recruiting and coaching?
Everything just has me thinking. Like, you know, there are so many days when I'm at home. Like, there's not a lot on TV. Like last night. Like, do you ever watch
Dude, I watched Equalizer 2 for like the 17th time. There wasn't a lot on television.
A cruddy sporting event and just think, why did I sit here and do this?
Yeah.
Like, that happens to me more times than it should.
Yeah.
Because I should know by now, like, hey,
I watched
turn it off,
I
Andrew.
watched the flipping
off.
Big Ten in 60. And it was Ohio State and Michigan. Just because I wanted to see, I watched it for something different.
I was watching Michigan State, Michigan yesterday.
I wanted to see how many D linemen that Michigan played. That's all I cared about.
And that's the only reason you turned it on,
That's
right?
only reason.
Yeah, so I'm like,
I'm weird like that because I saw some, you know, it's lists season, and so I saw somebody come out with some lists on. Sometimes I want to say lits.
Well, let's get lit.
Enunciation. So I say lists. So I have to really try.
Multiple lists.
But I was watching most likely, was it Pro Football Focus? I don't know. You probably could Google it on Twitter and see, but it was most likely to rush for
like Jim Carrey,
1,000-yard rushers. And who do you in the Big Ten
most likely to get 1,000
to rush for 1,000 yards? And I'm gonna find this on Twitter and by myself sometime so I get the correct order. But I know who was number one.
Braylon Allen.
Now, why would you say Braylon Allen?
Only because we've been talking a lot about this Wisconsin, and whether I'm right or wrong, don't tell me. Don't tell me yet.
No, I will.
Whether I'm right or wrong, we've been talking a lot about Wisconsin, and the big thing has been, oh, they're going to be an air raid. Like, oh, Luke Fickell comes here, they're going to air raid. And after you visited with Caleb, you were like, hey, man, I don't think that's like what their plan is. Like, they plan to run the football too. So that's why I'm landing on Braylon. Also because I think he's the most talented rusher in the Big Ten.
You realize that's saying something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the most likely to repeat his 1,000-yard rushers was led by Braylon Allen.
There he goes.
And so when I stopped and I scrolled and I was like, wait a minute. I thought everybody kept telling me they're going air raid. And I know that they're not.
So I basically just took the words out of your mouth.
So who do you think was
Blake Corum?
Incorrect.
Is he in top 5 though?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Oh, what about well, is he still there? Is the Henderson kid still there at Ohio State?
Where was Henderson?
Oh goodness, if he wasn't in the top, I'm going to say 3.
He was 5.
5. Okay, so if Corum's there, what was he, 4? So we had Braylon Allen at 1,
Corum
Henderson
at 4.
at 5,
Yep.
and Corum at 4. All right, thank you, Andrew. Mo's gone, Chase is gone. Team by team by team.
Who is Blake Corum's teammate?
Name slipping my mind, but yeah.
Edwards.
Yeah. He's on there? He's above Blake?
Edwards was above Blake Corum, but by how many spots?
1.
So that puts him at number 3.
Yeah.
Who's 2?
Oh, man. Penn State. What's his name? Oh, they used him so well too against
And
Ohio
they
State
almost
last
had
year.
they almost had equal carries. They almost had equal carries.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I won't. I'm not going to tell you. No. Yeah. Kenny. Kenny.
Big Ten Freshman of the Year.
Correct.
Singleton. Nick Singleton.
Correct.
I got there.
Was 2. Were you not? You taking a bow? He's like Rihanna. Take a bow. How about a round of applause? Standing ovation.
Yeah, I missed on
Actually,
Edwards,
she
though.
was singing about a duck.
I think at number
So
2.
it's not about being right.
I
Yeah.
guess they do like to
So
use that tandem, though.
it literally went Allen, Singleton, Edwards, Corum, Henderson. For all I keep hearing about Wisconsin and air raid offense, Braylon Allen was one.
And gosh,
listen,
that dude
I'm going to say this
so talented
with the sake of getting laughed off our own show. I'm not sure he's the best natural rusher they have.
Oh, the new kid? Kid on the block.
He's
had a
nice,
bunch of hits.
but Ches Malusi, ask Nebraska fans about Malusi.
Mm-hmm.
They knew they're like, oh no, don't take Braylon Allen out of the game. I know he's got a bum shoulder. Leave him in. Malusi was the guy that was giving him fits.
Right.
I'm telling you, they go 3 deep. And
So
I'm not here to hype up Wisconsin just because I love Westside because the logo is different. But don't put it past Longo and Fickle to understand they need to run the ball in Madison.
And don't forget that Ches also had 815 yards in 2021.
No, I'm with you before the injury.
170 something carries.
Yeah. So both those guys, Singleton and Allen, ahead of Edwards and Corum.
Pretty wild.
It's nuts.
Pretty wild. Although Singleton's a stud.
But
Braylon Allen's a stud. And all of them are studs. They're in the top 5. But it's shocking.
So is Katron Allen,
Yeah,
though.
it's shocking because you look at the best teams in the Big Ten and you don't think Penn State, Wisconsin off the rip.
Nope.
You don't. Like, they're up there, but you don't think best.
I was surprised. So I'm like, huh.
That made you sit and ponder while you were watching the Mets Phillies? Nope, that was me, actually.
So I can say this out loud. I don't love Braylon Allen. He's not.
So is he a guy for you that hasn't reached his full potential? Is that why you don't like him?
Okay, so here's what bugs me about Braylon Allen.
Because he had an unreal freshman campaign. Unreal.
Listen, that was Biotic and those guys. They were way good. And Biotic is getting quality reps for Dallas in year 3 right now. Number 1, I think he misses some holes. Like, what happens if he doesn't get a hole at the initial point of attack, right? Like, it seems like he needs for things to go right. And he hasn't learned yet to run behind his pads. Like, when I say run behind your pads, that means, you got to change you got to drop, right? And be powerful. Like, come out. I always call it coming out of the back end.
Right.
Expect to come out of the back end of splitting a couple of tacklers, just hitting a hole full speed because you're behind your pads. It's exactly what I want Gabe Irvin to do. Run behind your pads. If you're 220, if you're 220, don't run like you're 180, right? Be the opposite of Work Done. Work Done ran behind his pads as a small back. I'm a big Work Done guy. So, like, I don't love that. But I mean,
I will agree with you in the fact of he doesn't feel like he's comfortable enough in his own skin and his own ability. Because there were times where I watched him run.
Yeah, not every play is going to be a big play, right?
And he just didn't trust himself.
Yeah,
he didn't trust that he could at least get the 3-4 yards that was needed. I mean, he still averaged 5 yards a carry, but that's also because he had games where he went off for 165 yards, 148 yards. And then he had other games when he ran for 48. And now you face Iowa in that stance, in that. But you also face Illinois. He had guess how many yards he had on 8 rushes against Illinois.
I give up.
2. He ran for 2 yards on 8 rushes against Illinois. But there are other games where if you give him the double-digit carries, he's going to get you above 80 plus into the hundreds. But when he plays a really good defense, when he plays a defense that is really good up front, he struggles. So I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I can understand it. I can understand the concerns. But he is just so talented that I just can't let that outweigh my thought process.
Would you have put him first?
I would have, yes.
Okay. Well, you said him first.
I think he's the most talented back in the Big Ten.
Wow. Ahead of Edwards. Henderson's going to be interesting because he was kind of the anointed one when he first got there.
Yes, he was.
And I'm just okay on him too. But some of that is like, you know what's underappreciated in running the football? Because sometimes when you get good running back, because I think running back is a very hard position to predict success. I think feel is very underappreciated because a lot of times those guys are used to getting holes and just outrunning people. And it's not right like that. Like feel, like, listen, is it a double at the point of attack? Where's my cutback lane? Like what happens if he gets over the top, or it's an odd versus even front? Like sometimes I don't think backs understand patience. Like just being, I always say my term is smooth to the hole. Just be smooth to the hole. Press the point of attack, right? Like don't get off that track until something gets you off your track. And I just think
take your time when you get there, get there.
Yes, that's what.
Wait for the hole.
So, and I did.
Too many guys run right into their left tackle.
Right.
Too many guys,
and it drives me up the wall. So, and I learned from Coach Solich is actually the guy. I came up with the term. He would always say, "Press the point of attack." And as I got older, and I was kind of coaching it, and I remember being in Carolina, and I would want to do some certain things, and they're like, "You can't do that. We're not blocking that guy." Like I know it looks like it should go out there, but so then it just turned into, okay, like what am I feeling? And that's like, it's a big deal, right? Everybody, people will look at the one run in the Orange Bowl and they're like, oh, I could have run through that hole, right? And I'm like, in my head, this is what I'm thinking real time. Do you know how long it took me to trust that crease? Because it's very, very small.
And you had a slight window to
and you have to get,
I'm doing it.
You have to get through it in a hurry. So you have to commit to it, right? It's a feel thing. Like it looks cool to see 20 years later. If you look at it from my point of view, it's literally trying to run through. You see those movies where like the cave is closing or the door is shutting. Like you have to get through there. You have to trust that you're going to make it before it closes. Like it's not easy to do. So I always look at what kind of feel running backs have. That's what I thought was underappreciated about Kenneth Walker.
Very much so. Very much so.
Like Kenneth Walker has really good feel for running the football. Clinton Portis has really good feel for running the football. Like those are the guys that I kind of gravitate towards.
Yeah, growing up, admiring Le'Veon Bell in a Steelers jersey.
Yeah,
talk about a guy that had great feel
he drove
for
me
running
crazy.
The football.
Drew down. I can't stand watching him.
I loved how patient he was. He may have been the most patient runner I've ever seen. Because he would wait for the hold. He would let people, he made people play at his pace. That's what I think I liked most about him. It wasn't just, hey, I'm going to do this because this is what the play is designed to do. It's like, no, I'm going to see if the hole's there. And if it's not, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to alter. I'm going to jut. And there were a couple of times where I would just see him. The line is just set up, right?
Yeah.
5. We'll just say there's 5 on the line. It's starting to make a crescent moon on him, and it's like he's stuck in the middle. He can't get out. And he's just kind of like sitting there bouncing.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
I don't.
For his spot.
And I get it.
I
get it because you're basically saying you're basically giving a real example of what I'm saying. You have to have a good feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair. It's not really smooth to the hole. And you're not.
It's
really,
not not smooth at all.
And you're not pressing the point of attack.
But it's patient.
Right. It's like, I hate the peekaboo stuff.
But it's kind of smooth. Like, it's not smooth to the hole, but it is smooth in its own way.
That he trusts that he has that much time.
He makes people play, or he made people, not
because
he's
he
not
would
doing
put his
it now.
hand on the back of offensive linemen and pick his way. I'm like,
I'm for it, man. I'm for it. Yeah, but see, I never ran the football.
And
for you,
aesthetically, it drove
upstairs. Something is drilled into your mind of how to do it and the right way to do it. And that wasn't
it drove me crazy.
It wasn't conventional to watch that.
I watched Adrian Peterson miss about
also
10,000
great
holes,
runner,
right? But if he had one, you talk about seeing the crease and being the crease, man, all day was silly in college. He's ridiculous in the pros too. By the way, I didn't realize he's only 351 yards short of catching Barry Sanders. And how is Barry Sanders only fourth all time? But anyway.
You asked me the same question.
I know, Eric.
Did you ask that same question last year?
Go back and watch all day.
It's your own question.
In college. He was like, and this guy's old. He's younger than me, or older than me, but he reminds me a lot of Marcus Dupree, another Oklahoma guy that would see a crease and be through it before it. I just like those guys that kind of do the dictating. They make it tough on you as a tackler,
right?
Like if I was playing against us, like at the high school level, I would say just commit to it. If you let our guys. Because I know how we're teaching them. Listen,
right?
We're picking a spot and going. There's not a lot of breaking down, right? We do open window drills. We call it collecting and gathering to learn to make open field tackles. Like if you let us get downhill, you're gonna have a hard time, right? So I always tell runners, try to step on their toes. Like that's always what you want to do. You always want to, it's not just a wide receiver on a DB thing. You want to make defenders feel like there's a two-way go.
So you talk about watching all day in college. There's one game that I consistently watch probably once a year. And it was because my infatuation with Boise State football was the Fiesta Bowl in 2007. And just watching AP run and break off more runs and run.
And somehow Boise got him.
And somehow, some way, Boise State does something. Chris Peterson draws up the craziest plays alive. Little bit of a lateral.
Did Chris Peterson peak? Was that peak CP?
I think so. But it definitely solidified his job for a few more years.
Yeah.
By the way,
and gave him a name.
For Barry Sanders to be what you said, fourth?
Yeah, I think he's fourth.
And to do that in just 10 years of play that's still pretty impressive.
So fourth all time in what?
Leading rusher.
Yeah, because I mean, like
Emmitt Smith went don't quote me on that. I do
something
know
like that.
I do know all day's trailing him by 351 yards. But I think it's for fourth on the list.
Okay. You would be correct.
Who's three?
All right, this guy retired recently from the NFL. Had a very long career. He was old reliable.
LD?
Nope, Curtis Martin.
He had a horrible...
Curtis Martin?
Nope, he had a horrible Wonderlic score. Horrible. Made fun of probably still to this day.
How many teams did he play with?
2.
Only 2?
I'm going to double check because it may have been a lot down the list. Maybe 3. Let me check.
Omar.
Okay, he played for, in his final years, he played for more. So he played the majority of his career with 2 teams, and then he played with 3 to close out his career in 18, 19, and 20, 3 different teams.
So Emmitt is top 2.
Yes.
Okay, so 3 would be...
Emmitt Smith is 1 on the list at 18,355.
Yeah, okay. So Emmett and Barry are 1 and 4.
Mhm.
2 would be.
And you had AP at 5, right? Curtis Martin was 6.
I think LaDainian. Does LaDainian have more than 14K?
He
Let's go
was-
with LaDainian Tomlinson.
He was 7 on this list.
Okay.
He's at 13,
I'm
6,
kind of mad.
8,
I'm
4.
kind of mad at myself.
And that is 22 more yards than Jerome Bettis at 8.
Can I cheat and say
no? You cannot cheat. That means you looked it up.
I'm just gonna say what it says on YouTube. There it says, "How about Frank Gore?"
Oh, I could see Gore.
What a dang cheater!
Longevity.
Yep.
Plus, Gore's played like 15 years. Right? How long is Gore was in the league? 16
Forever.
years.
Forever. 2005 to 2020. So 16 years.
Okay, so Gore's 2 or 3?
3.
Gosh, who's 2?
2 was is this too much of a giveaway?
I actually like Frank Gore too.
There's an award named after him.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly
Not really.
Doak Walker didn't play that long, so that's college. An award. Oh, it's Sweetness. Walter Payton.
Sure.
You got it right.
Yeah. Oh, God, were you like, what an idiot?
No, honestly, no. I'm still a little perturbed that Shane gave you Frank Gore.
I actually like Gore.
Same. Like I told you, old, reliable.
But so probably like
I was
if
just
I gave you
reporting,
my
that's all I
top
was
if
doing.
I gave you my top 15 backs, 4 of them are probably Canes. Willis McGahee, Frank Gore, Edgerrin
nice.
James, and Clinton
Yep.
Portis.
How many 1,000-yard rushing seasons did Frank Gore have in his 16 seasons?
11.
12. 9.
9.
Just 9.
But
But he was never
I know.
He never was a
He just
break-off
was-
runner. He'd just get you first down.
my buddy's a diehard Niners fan. He loved him some Frank Gore.
He only averaged over 100 yards one season.
But that's actually harder to do than you think. Not a lot of running backs have rushed for over 100 yards a game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's hard. That's hard to do.
Really good point. But if you look at the rest of the numbers, that 100 yards,
Dude, you'd be
is
going
way
for
out of proportion.
1,600 a year.
Right. That's what he did. 2 for you next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning. Now one of Damon's favorite games and one of Shane's favorite games.
Is this the game where I have to write stuff down?
Well, maybe not so much Shane.
Yes, Shane. This would be the game.
Yes, it's 2 for you.
All right, let's do it.
Wow. I'm still in shock.
Well, because we were just going through numbers on numbers throughout that last segment.
And when I said 100 per game for 16 games, even if you played 14,
like OJ and those guys, Jim Brown,
that would be 1,400 yards. 16 games would be 1,600 yards. 17 games, here's the math. Jamie would be proud. 1,700 yards only. And I said, God, you know how hard it would be to average 100 yards per game? This was without looking it up. Only one running back of all time that has played more than 4 years has averaged 100 yards per game. Shane, who is it?
In the last 4 years?
Nope.
No, that played at least 4 years.
I'm going to go with our Panthers guy.
Nope. He just passed away. That's the easiest clue I'll ever give you.
Well, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown is the only running back to average 100 per.
It surprises me that they played 14 back then. I would have thought like
he
12.
maybe was 9 or 11.
Okay.
I got to go back and look at it.
Right.
He went 104.3.
I mean,
now, had it been more games, Shane, you're right. That average, because you're more apt to get dinged.
Right. And you kind of have to start right away. Because as I said during the break to you, I said Derrick Henry should be like the next closest to really hit that number. But his first 3 years in the league, he didn't average more than 66 a game. Well, he got screwed because he was behind a guy for the first 2 years. But then once he took over as the guy, it's over 100 in every season but one when he had about 99 point some change.
Who's 2 after Barry? It's Barry. But as you said, you remember what you told me the number was for Barry?
Yeah, 99.8.
99.8. Number 3 is a shocker. And it's only because I told you that you know.
Oh, yeah.
Shane, did you hear this conversation?
I did not.
Who's number 3? And it's not, I know you love ED, but Dickerson is 4th. Who's number 3 on yards per game over his career? And I'll give you a clue. His last 3 years were so poor, they're only 100 yards more combined than his worst 1,000-yard season.
Right.
Oh, God, I don't know. I mean,
his last 3 years combined are 100 yards more than his lowest 1,000-yard season.
I didn't hear the conversation, so I'll just say Thermo.
No.
So he ended his career in 2001.
Oh, so Marshall?
Not good guess. Didn't run it enough. Terrell Davis.
Oh, TD.
Terrell Davis averaged 97.5 yards a game.
And remember, he only played about this, if I can do math, 17 games in the last 3 years.
Yep. Which brought his average down.
Which dings him up.
So TD, and I think TD's a Hall of Famer. I think 4 years is the cutoff for good years because that's about what OJ had. That's Gale Sayers. Because people think OJ had a better pro career than he did, but he really had 4 what I would call prolific years.
And he's an MVP.
TD went for 11-17, 15-38, 17-50, 2008. That was 94 through 98. He proceeds to go the last 3 years, 211, 282, 701.
At least he bounced back in the end. 8 games.
Can you imagine if he doesn't have those last 3 seasons?
He
played 17 games total. So even in those 17 games, Drew Down, he went for 211 and 282, which is 290 or 493, and 1701. 1701 and 493.
Yep.
He went for 1394 in 17 games. So even in a full season, he's going for he's going for 1,000. TD's a Hall of Famer, man.
And so
I think.
I mean, 2-time Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP. I said, MVP in the NFL.
I know people debated it when he got TD's a Hall of Famer. I'm shocked though.
You're not going to have me.
Just one running back.
You're not going to have me arguing that point at all. At all.
104.3 for Jim Brown.
Our guy on YouTube, Tad Young, tried guessing Jamal Charles. Where would he land? On that
great
list?
call. So I put Jamal Charles in like that Priest Holmes category.
Okay.
Right? Because Priest for like 2 years was basically indefensible.
Right.
Jamal Charles? God, that's a great man.
So Jamal averaged, this is going to be maybe more of a shock to most people, only 63.6 yards in his
how
career.
many years did he play?
But he also got banged up, and he also played more years. He played about 9 years, 10 years.
Okay.
No, wait, 11 years. I can do math. 11 years.
So Jamal Charles is only how many?
63.6. He had 5 seasons where he rushed over 1,000 yards, all in Kansas City.
Okay.
But he had a season in 2011 when he played 2 games, gets hurt. He had a season in 2015 on down, roughly, that he only played about 5 games or less. Like he played 14 in Denver, but he didn't start in any of those games.
That is interesting.
Dinged up.
Well, some of those
good call there.
Some of those teams
really good call.
Where you get your guy.
Who would Chiefs fans rather have had, Priest or Jamal? I see Priest Holmes in my sleep from the Big 12 title game.
And Jamal for me,
he was unbelievable.
Yeah, Jamal for me,
because it's more recent.
Yep, because I got to watch him.
Are we going to act like we're not shocked that only one running back has had more than 100 average more than 100 yards in a season?
It's ridiculous.
I knew it was hard, but I didn't think it was only one.
Yeah.
And it's a guy that averaged single-digit games played a season.
And that's the only way to do it. The only way to do it.
All right.
All right, let's play 1 round of 2 for you, and we'll talk to Tony Mejia to close out the show.
I may need a second.
All right.
No. I'm just. It's hard to be a good running back. B brings up another one along the lines of Priest Holmes, Jamal Charles clone. but he tried to come back, and he wasn't very good. East Carolina's finest. He was the best running back to ever come out of East Carolina. He was a Pirate. I know you're thinking baseball because it's fresh on the brain.
That's all I can think. Actually, the only person from is it East Carolina? Is Zay Jones from East Carolina?
Boston College.
Not
No, that's Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, yeah.
Zay Jones.
Zay Jones.
Yes, I think he is. I
don't know.
Chris Johnson.
Oh, good one. Oh man, was he good in Tennessee?
Yeah, Brian is bringing back old school.
Okay. DB, you want to play with Shane?
Yeah, I'll play with Shane.
Shane, you
Since
good with
he's
that?
going to give me some crazy answers.
Okay, well, we got to go quick here.
Hey, relax,
All right,
man.
What do we got? Oh, no, we're not going to get it in.
Oh, we got this.
All right.
We got this.
All right.
You got your handy-dandy notepad?
Yeah, you're going to rush Shane, so he ain't going to make it.
Hey, a team in the finals.
God, I don't know this.
Could be NBA, could be NHL. A team in the finals.
Okay.
A time you knew was too late for your friends to call your house phone when you were growing up.
Okay. This one's easy.
Hey, name a skill every man should know how to do.
You're talking to the least manly man ever. I would say fight, but that's the one that comes natural. Okay, I got it.
Shane, you good?
Yeah.
That's only 3.
And the hand Shane uses to vape with.
What? How would I know that? Please, I'll go with. Okay, I got it. I'm just envisioning it. Okay, Shane, if you miss this one, you're an idiot. If I miss it, I at least got an excuse.
I don't know how Shane can miss.
All right, let's roll.
Right.
All right, a team in the finals. 3, 2, 1.
Nuggets.
Shane, good on you. And you doubted yourself. A time you knew was too late for your friends to call your house phone growing up. 3, 2, 1.
9. 10? Lois ain't having 10 o'clock calls.
Yeah.
9.
Well, we didn't have a phone till later. We were poor.
Is that why the time went later, too? Hey, name a skill every man should know how to do. 3, 2, 1.
Mow.
Drive.
I mean, most of the time, it seems like the male is driving.
The hand Shane uses to vape with. 3, 2, 1.
Right.
Way to go, guys. Tony Mejia up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
4 championships, 6 finals in 12 years. I don't know if you ever never do this again. I think you will in some capacity, but thank you, too competitive. But if you ever do this again, it'd be hard to keep that record going. It's just an incredible accomplishment.
Hey, welcome back as we wind this thing down on a Friday. We have on a Wednesday. Kind of wish it was Friday, DB.
Nah, I'm good.
Not yet.
No, we're just getting
I know,
started.
we just got back in the groove of things. Friday is not Friday. Yeah, well, I'm all dinged up after saying that, and from Dingman's sponsoring our latest game. Although 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4 is what you guys got. Pretty impressive. Nice work, fellas. We are moving on and talking to Tony Mejia, NBA columnist at Gaming Today, and Gold Sheet at Mejia Dinero on Twitter. Tony, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Tony, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing all right, waiting on these finals. I'm as thrown off as you on this week with Memorial Day and a Game 7. So that Game 7 Monday really threw up my week. So
I appreciate you vibing with me.
I gotta ask you, because you're a great capper, or you I don't know if you'd say great, but you know numbers, you cap a ton, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is like Bizarro World. The Nuggets had the great regular season, and we weren't sure how it translated to the postseason. The Heat had a miserable regular season, and now we're not sure that they're a really good team. Like, at what point do the numbers, or how much time do you think the numbers take to justify the hot take?
Well, I mean, look, it's very similar to the Celtics series. Denver was minus 330 and the Heat are plus 300. Very similar to what the Vegas said and what odds makers said at the beginning of the Eastern Conference Finals. So can the Heat get it done? Absolutely. Now, there's history on their side? Absolutely not. They've lost 6 straight against Denver, 9 out of the last 10. Adebayo plays pretty well, but Jokic has his way with everybody. This season's meetings, he's averaged 23, 12, and 10. So, and I believe that he's favored to average a triple-double in this series. So, certainly the Nuggets are the rightful favorite.
Hey, Tony, you talk about history, and historically, a rest period like this has been good for the team on its receiving end. When you see the Nuggets kind of just waiting in the wing, wondering who they're playing. But is there ever such a thing as being too well rested? Because 2 words come to mind when thinking the worst in that scenario: rhythm and conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, and we seemingly get the rest and rust debate, every postseason or every other postseason when a team completes a sweep and then ends up playing a team that won 7 games. It usually happens at least once in a series or in a postseason. But I was reading that Michael Malone has gotten his guys in there specifically for the conditioning, really ramping up practices leading up to this. So I think they'll be good to go. And then we'll see how the Heat's legs respond to having to work as hard as they did to get past Boston. not to mention the altitude.
Tony, again, the perfect guy to ask, because we had this conversation a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about, can Miami continue to play through the number one like Jimmy Butler, even though guys like Bam Adebayo would be 3s or 4s on other teams? We're still not sure who the 2 option is, but they seem to be making it work. Shouldn't Lady Luck or time run out on the Heat making Butler the number one playthrough option?
Well, I mean, he's been super clutch. So he's been getting to his spots, but he's done a really nice job outside of the Milwaukee series where he was ridiculous of letting other guys get their shine on. I mean, we saw Caleb Martin really step up in the Eastern Conference Finals. Adebayo, sometimes they forget about him, but they typically try to play through him. And I think you'll see a lot of pick and rolls because they're going to want to make Nikola Jokic work on defense in this series. I mentioned Martin. Max Strus has averaged 20 points in the 2 games against Denver this season. So I think he'll be in the plans. Duncan Robinson, same thing. You got to hopefully get something from him off the bench. And they've done it in a collective approach. But fourth quarter is Jimmy time. So we'll see if they stay close enough for him to make his imprint there.
Any advantage? We have this love-hate thing with Malone as the Nuggets coach, right? Sometimes he's the flame-out guy that has good regular seasons. Now he's good again. We know Spoelstra's great. Is there an advantage?
No, look, I've had my issues with Michael Malone too because blown leads over the years and whatnot. But he's done a really nice job this season. Playing his core guys, 7 or 8, deep in the rotation. Really don't see much more than that. And I mean, it makes your job easier when you can play through Jokic and Jamal Murray's hitting every shot like he has. So, but certainly Eric Spoelstra, who now catches Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, finals appearances among active coaches, has the edge here. It's an experience thing, but he certainly doesn't have as defined the team as the Denver Nuggets.
Tony, Tyler Hero targeting a Game 3 return in the NBA Finals. We'll see if that actually happens or not. But I want to ask, is that a good thing for the Heat or a bad thing when it comes to breaking up the chemistry that has been brewing throughout the playoffs? Like, if Tyler Hero returns, would that be just a great slam dunk? Awesome. The Heat have a guy back, and now they finally have somebody that could be a so-called number 2, or would it really break up the dynamic that they have going right now?
Well, if you were to ask me this during the Eastern Conference Finals, because I've had conversations specifically about this, I would have said no. I think it's a mistake to rush him back in the middle of a series like that. The fact that the NBA Finals is so spread out, I think works to the advantage of a return in Game 3 because you can get that practice time in, and the series is going to shift. So, if you lose 2 in a row in Denver, which, they'll be favored, they'll be in an underdog role, so that's probably going to be the dynamic. And then you look forward to Tyler Hero coming back and, playing off the bench in Miami and a must-win Game 3.
So, Tone, there's a lot of good job openings, right? And some teams that are ready to win now. We see the Bucks fill their vacancy. They actually didn't go with the head guy. They went with the assistant to the head guy in Toronto to fill their role. Was Milwaukee is currently, what's the best job available considering cap space and roster?
I mean, Milwaukee's certainly right there, and I also like Phoenix. Now, they'll have to figure out what's going to happen with Chris Paul, but, you've got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker for a full season. They kind of tried to throw that together. I thought Monty Williams was thrown under the bus, but, yeah, that's a team that's ready to win right now. And, yeah, certainly Milwaukee's a great job, too.
Will Nick Nurse elevate the 76ers?
I think a new voice is solid, and he's won a title. He can junk up defenses better than most in this league. Switching from zone to man and kind of finding different ways. Fulcher was like that too. So he might, but guys have to buy in. I mean, Embiid will buy in. Will James Harden? That'll be the question.
We had this discussion. This was like a month ago between my co-host and myself. And we got into this talented versus useful discussion. And coincidentally, it started with Jimmy Butler, where some guys think he's not as uber talented, but, certainly not a Tatum. And we didn't know that they were going to go head to head. But you get the point, right? The guys that stack up stats like Lillard, but it doesn't result in winning. At what point did the Celtics need to have that discussion with the leadership in that organization? Talented versus useful.
I think in terms of continuing to hear the rumors that Jaylen Brown wanted out, something happens there. And maybe they switch up that dynamic. I don't think Marcus Smart is going anywhere. They've got other guys with Malcolm Brogdon that they really like. I think Tatum isn't going anywhere. So if you're going to make a move, it's with Jaylen Brown, and certainly he'll have his suitors. But there's certainly one of those things where you rely on people in the clutch, and they either wilt or rise up to the occasion. Certainly,
barbecue or mildew.
Tatum's injury didn't help matters, but I liked the Heat in Game 7, and I thought they were going to get the job done, and they did. They rose to the occasion.
Tony, did you grab the money line for the Heat?
No, I did.
I was going to say a +7, man. Hey, can I get a loan?
Take the point. So,
that a boy.
In retrospect, and obviously all that, 2020. I should have, because I really did believe the Miami Heat were going to get it done. I did, the way Boston won Game 6, I thought that that was it for making the comeback. And then you've got to give it to Miami. They really do play well with one another, and Spoelstra making such a big difference over Joe Mazzulla. I don't think the coaching disparity is that great in these NBA finals. So.
Tony, you have about 30 seconds. How did the Nuggets win this series? How did the Heat win this series?
Heat win the series if everybody continues to play together and guys continue to make shots, guys like Martin and Strus. And Nuggets win the series if Nikola Jokic stays out of foul trouble. Period.
I just don't know how they guard him, man.
Yeah, I think Jokic is just going to keep eating.
Adebayo's too small.
Absolutely eating.
But you got to play the game, right, Tone?
No doubt.
Tony Mejia, we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much. We'll talk again soon.
All right, guys, anytime.
Thanks, Tony.
That'll do it for us on the show today as well. For DB, Shane Schillerberg, I'm Andrew Rogers. Join us again tomorrow for more Coffee and Cream.